Live. Go to the YouTube channel and make sure we are live, because you never know.
Well, I'll get a notification in a second if we go.
And you would assume that that would actually mean something.
You would think.
We're live.
Hey, we're live. Waiting for the notification on my phone.
We're all by ourselves, but we're live.
Yeah, we're alone.
Hey, people.
Hello. Hey, look,
Hey,
we're live.
We're
Yay!
there.
All right.
We're live.
Cool.
Okay, let's see how many people show up. I got a notification as well.
Yep. Is there anybody out there? Are
Anybody
we all
out
alone?
there? We'll see in a second.
I don't know. I can't tell.
I'll pull up the chat on here.
Yeah, let's see.
So we can see the chat here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll be able to...
Can you close that little thumbnail over there?
Which one?
Okay, it's gone now. Good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, there's...
There's Jerome. I'm going to say that his name is Jerome. From the Netherlands, my man, another fellow Dutch dude. All right, cool, excellent, man.
Oh,
yeah.
you're Dutch?
Yeah, I'm Dutch. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm full-blooded Dutch. Yeah, my both sets of grandparents came over in the 30s.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah.
Welcome, everybody. So
Hi.
so look who's here. So we're back for another live stream. Dave came up today to do a bunch of videos with me together. Don't knock your water over.
Knock my water
And we're ordering some pizza, so we're going to be eating while we're here.
You get to listen to us eat. That's good for you. Yeah.
We did 3 videos today, and we thought, well, we're going to be eating lunch. Dave's going to hang out for a little while longer before he takes off, so why not jump on here and do a live stream? Because the last several live streams I've been by myself, so now you guys get to talk to Dave and ask him a bunch of questions.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been on a live stream, so you know.
So just let us know how the picture looks. Can we kind of rig this up? If the voice level between us is relatively good enough. If not, if one of us need to go up or down, just let us know and we can fix that.
Yeah. No, Jerome, I don't speak Dutch. Unfortunately, that's one of the things I did not bother doing was learning the language. My grandparents did, but my parents never bothered, and so we didn't pick it up. Now, my brother-in-law, he speaks fluent Dutch, so that's pretty cool. But no, I don't speak the language.
Well, there you go. No.
So, but I am Dutch, so you know.
English, and that's it, and that's all you're getting.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No multilingual live streams coming out of this basement.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Looks and sounds really good. Okay, good, because I always can't tell. So I was like, is it out of focus? Is it in focus? I feel like I got this big light shining over here. I could, when I get up, turn one of those lights off. But as long as it looks good to you guys, that's all that matters.
Yep.
So, a couple of things. Yeah, we did some videos today that are going to be coming out. They may not actually go live for several weeks because I've got a lot in the queue.
Yeah. Yep.
As I said last time, I got like 12. I'm like 12 videos, 12 weeks ahead.
Nice. Which is a good thing to be.
Yeah, which is a really good thing to be.
Yeah.
But what we did today is we did a couple of really cool videos. Something we've been looking to do for a long time. The first one we did today was we compared the 500 series Black Lion Audio Bluey compressor that Dave bought recently, and we compared that to the full rack unit that I have.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about those two.
That was
units.
really interesting. The final result was actually quite surprising.
Quite surprising, and we like them both for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really cool video. You'll see that soon. Then we did, which I think is my favorite of the 3 videos that we did today.
Oh, I agree completely.
We did a comparison. We're live again?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
We did a comparison of the Origin, the console bus compressor, to Dave's Warm Audio bus compressor. So he unracked his stuff and brought up the 1U.
Yeah.
And we patched it in, and we compared those 2 compressors with the same exact settings on a full mix. Really, really interesting there. That was a lot of fun because we get asked a lot about doing warm audio, or what do we think of warm audio, and I always talk about what I think about warm audio, and part of the problem is I never have any warm audio in the studio. So
right. Yeah.
it was nice to have a piece here that we can actually play around with.
It was nice. It was nice to actually bring one physically into the room and say, okay, we have an actual warm audio here. You know, we can actually make a quantifiable test of it.
Yeah.
So and again, like the results were very interesting. It's a little bit surprising in a couple of different ways. Again, I'm not going to spoil the video, but there was a couple of interesting outcomes to that one. And I'll be honest with you, to be honest with you, the warm audio, it represented itself pretty well.
Yeah, I would.
You know,
I would say so.
I'm not gonna say that it came up negative. It did a good job of representing itself. So you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was nice to see.
Yeah,
You know?
I wouldn't say that piece sounded bad in any way,
No, not at all.
but it's just
So,
different. Well,
mhm.
and you guys will have to watch the video,
Yep.
you know, when it comes live.
Mhm.
And then the third one that we did again, which was really cool. We haven't had a lot of opportunities to do this. We compared the sound of the Trident hardware ADB EQs to the Trident's ADB EQ plugin.
Mhm.
So they make the actual plugin of that hardware. So we wanted to test that, and we did that as well.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So we did those 3 videos today. They'll all go live, I don't know, in the next month
Sometime
or
or other they'll go live.
so. Sooner or later, they're going to go live.
Yep.
And you guys will be able to check that stuff out.
Mhm.
And there's a bunch of other videos that are already done that are, you know, I think the other day we did the one for the Atmos stems, the prepping of the stems for Atmos.
Yeah, that one went live yesterday.
That went live yesterday,
Yeah.
which people are watching. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
It's a pretty cool video. I'm actually more looking forward to seeing the plugin in action, to be honest with you. You know.
Yeah, it's really that's
Yeah.
that'll come up soon. So
Mhm.
yeah, that'll be good. So if you guys are out there and you guys want to chat about or ask any questions, let us know. I don't know how many people are floating around. It usually takes a few minutes for people to
Yeah.
figure
Well,
out that we're online and
It says
come
we
on.
got 3 right now, so you know.
Yeah.
Up, I see 4 on the up there. Concurrent viewers 4. So.
Oh
mm,
yeah, cool.
So hopefully some people, you know, more than just you, me, and Jerome.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, you never know. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get on here and nobody shows
Yeah.
up, and sometimes you get
Well,
on here.
it's also Saturday afternoon.
It's Saturday, Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it's a holiday weekend,
Holiday
you know.
weekend. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm spending my holiday weekend here, or at least
Yep.
today. So you know.
yep.
But
Yep.
yeah. But no, it was a good morning. I thought it was pretty interesting. You know.
Yeah,
Um.
definitely.
You know, but I mean, I keep looking over at this and seeing what this looks like now.
Mhm.
And like your videos are still far enough behind that these aren't showing up. This isn't showing up in the video yet.
Right.
You know, with all the work that we did.
Oh,
over
that's
there,
right.
you
Yeah,
know?
because the videos that
Yeah.
were recorded are
Yeah, all the videos that are still going up show the old
Yeah.
rack alignment and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, it looks. It does. It actually, and you know, not that it matters, but it looks so much better like this than it did before. Okay, Kaiser's here.
Hey Kaiser, what's up?
Hey, Kaiser.
Loop Trotter S
Saturator.
Saturator from Plugin Alliance is awesome. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, the plugin is pretty good. You know, I mean,
Have you used it? Yeah.
I've used it a couple of times.
Oh, you have.
It's a good saturator. I mean, like I'm, you know me, I'm a saturation junkie.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, I go crazy with them. But no, it's a solid plugin. I don't have any idea how it would compare to the hardware, and you know, as opposed to the plugin, like the tests that we did here today. But you know, no, as far as like a saturation plugin is concerned, it's solid.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. But yeah, like I said, like they haven't really seen the new rack.
No,
setup
only in the
too
only in the
much,
live
you know?
stream. We haven't
Yeah.
really gone over there during a live stream
Yeah.
and showed and really showed off anything or anything
'cause
like that.
This is the first chance I've had to really work with it
Yeah.
today, and it's so much better
Oh yeah.
this way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Yeah.
like the workflow is so much easier to do.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know? And like we're working with the Bluey with it, even with it down there, the VU meter is
It's big.
plenty big, so
Right.
that you could see it from like if I'm sitting here, I could still see that VU meter clear as day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because we had the Bluey up in the rack, and you had to be a lot closer to it to see that smaller VU meter.
Oh, for sure.
You know, so you
Kaiser says that he returned his hardware back to Vintage King and got the plug-in on the
Well, okay, well
on
that
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 saturator.
says a lot. You know,
yeah.
that says a lot right there.
So the Loop Trotter saturator, that's a piece that's hardware?
Yeah, they have a hardware saturator, and then they
Oh.
did a plug-in emulation of it.
I didn't know that.
You know, yeah, Loop Trotter's got some pretty interesting stuff. You know.
Yeah, I've never really used.
Yeah.
Don't they make like a modular console?
Yes, they make a console.
Where
and
like you now
yeah.
tell me a little about that. That's all
it's
about?
it's a modular 500 series console.
Okay.
With buckets of 8, so like you can go, I think you can go from as little as 8 to as big as like a 32 with a center section,
Okay.
and then each channel has 2 500 slots in it.
Okay.
So you can put a dynamic and a EQ or however
Okay.
you want to set it up,
Uh-huh.
and then there's, I believe, 8 buses or 8 bus channels that
Okay.
also has a 500 rack associated to that.
Okay.
And then there's a master output that has two 500 series modules attached to that. So you can put anything in this thing that you want to do.
Okay.
right? So like if you wanted to have like API EQs on your drums,
Yeah.
and then Neve EQs on your guitars, and
Yeah.
and so on, you could set this board up any way you want to set it up. I've looked at this thing multiple times with serious gear lust.
Really?
Yeah.
But does it have preamps? Like, can you record?
No, it does not. Okay, no, it does not have preamps.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I'd have to look it up again to be sure. I believe what you're going to do is like you put a preamp module and an EQ module in it,
Okay.
or something like that. But like I said, it's just this fully modular thing, and you just fill it full of 500 series units
Okay.
to set it up however you want to set it up.
So-
I gear lust like crazy when I look at this thing. But then you start adding up how much it's going to
I was
cost
gonna
to
say,
fill
no,
that
so
thing
what are you
up.
talking about? It's like a 24 channel board or something?
Yeah, like a 24 channel board, you're going to end up having to put like 60 500 modules into it to fill it up.
But you could put any 500.
Any 500 module you want to
So
put
if you
in it.
wanted to put like,
You could buy a
buckets of
bunch
API needs,
Yeah.
SSL EQs.
Or you could buy a bunch of cheap Midas stuff and stick it in there to start with, and then start changing things out over time. However you want
Yeah.
to do it. But yeah, no, it's an amazing looking piece of kit. It really is.
So what does that thing cost?
I don't remember what the actual board itself costs. The actual thing is not all that expensive.
Right.
The expense comes filling it up with 500 modules.
Right.
'cause
And
you
it
need
doesn't
a-
have. It doesn't have.
you need
It's
a
not.
lot.
It's not flying fader automation.
No,
none of that.
no
It's-
flying
It's
fader
like this.
automation.
It's like the
Yeah,
Origin.
it's basically if you took the Origin and emptied it out,
Yeah.
and then just put 500 slots in it, that's
Yeah.
what you would have with the Loop Trotter board.
Okay.
But like I said, I look at that thing with gear lust all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of would love to have.
I
that,
just want. I just wonder what it would cost.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I think. Let me see if well.
You can look it up. Look it up on the phone.
Yeah, I'll look it up online.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
No, like I said, I that was one of the first things I saw when I started researching Loop Trotter.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So the other thing we got coming in, guys, on the stream, I talked about it in the last live stream. We're talking about the converters,
Mhm.
the analog to digital converter. I did order that Dangerous Music box, the AD Plus,
Which I knew you were gonna do.
and we're gonna test it. If it's not what I'm hoping it is, it'll go back. It'll be returned, but it should be here sometime mid next week.
Yeah.
So I did order that. We're gonna do a test just like we did when we did the Quantums versus the Apollos. We're going to do a test, running a mix, through back in, print track through the Dangerous Music, print track through the Quantums like I currently do,
Mhm.
and then we'll be able to AB them and see, do we hear any difference at all?
Okay. They don't have any pricing on their website.
Maybe because it's all customized.
Yeah,
You have
because
to-
it's all customizable. But yeah.
Yeah.
This is the center section. So like you've got these are the bus outs. So you have 500 units each, a pair for each bus,
Yeah.
and then there's a master output section, and then each channel, this is your fader section and your send section,
Oh, cool.
and then the rest of it is just, it's just
That's kind of nice.
empty. It's completely empty.
We'll have to look more into that. I'm just curious to know what the hell
Yeah.
it would cost to do it.
Yeah.
Like-
So you got that, and then I believe.
well, here's the thing though. Let's say if you're trying.
Oh,
to,
and then there's a 500 unit up there. That's your master output right there. So you could put a
Right.
bus compressor in that for your
Right.
master output.
But if you think about this,
You
if you just got 32 EQs, and then if an EQ is anywhere between $800 and $1,000,
$32,000
there's
in EQs.
just the EQs.
Just EQs. Yeah,
So
and you need preamp modules and EQ modules.
right. So I mean, you're going to be
it's a huge investment.
right. So it's
it would
probably
be a
more
huge
than this
investment.
is.
Probably by the time all is said and done,
But
yes.
you could customize
But
it.
it's 100% customizable.
That's really
So
cool.
it's like I say, so like you could put APIs in this bucket and Neves in this bucket.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, right.
And SSLs in that bucket.
right.
And have like all different kinds of sounds and stuff.
Really
I would
cool.
love to do something like that. When I hit the lottery,
That's what you're buying.
that's what I'm buying. I'm not buying one of these. When I hit the lottery, I'm buying one of these. About 32 channels of this thing.
Well, if you hit the lottery, just go buy like a high-end Neve or something. If you
No, I want this.
You want to build your own?
Yeah, I'm a do-it-yourselfer. I want that.
So Rusty's here. Hey, Rusty, what's up?
Hi, Rusty.
Hey, fellas. Wife says hi too. Hi,
Hi,
wifey.
wife.
She likes you so far. So
Wow.
far, well, I
that's-
haven't recommended you
Give
go
us
out.
give
Yeah.
us a little time. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Don't worry.
We haven't told you to go out and buy anything.
Yeah,
yet,
yeah.
so-
Give us a little time. Once you start gear lusting like crazy,
Right.
then that'll end really quick.
Right.
Either that or you let her go buy all the shoes and clothes she wants.
And then there's no money left over for gear.
Well, that's the compromise, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess
You know.
I guess that is.
You know,
So there you go. So that's going to be cool. Let's is this here.
pizza here.
Now, yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting for him to.
Yeah,
For some reason, my
the app is not updating.
it's not updating like it normally does. But
Mhm.
I hear people upstairs. So
Yeah.
if the doorbell rings, I'll hear it down here.
Yep.
So yeah, so it'll be fun. So we got the Dangerous Music Box coming this week. Within a week or
Mhm.
so, we'll start doing the test, and we'll let you guys know
Yep.
if those converters sound any different, better, worse, or different, or the same
Yeah.
as the PreSonus Quantum
Yep.
converters. We'll see.
You ordered that yesterday?
Yesterday afternoon, so
Yeah.
I don't
so
even know if it shipped
probably didn't ship yet.
yet. Yeah, so
then,
we
you
may
know.
not see that for a couple of days.
Yeah, because the holiday's gonna screw that up, so it might
Yeah.
be in like Thursday or Friday.
So that'll be fun. That'll be an
Yep.
interesting test. I'm looking forward to that test
That's
an awful lot.
that's a big one. That's
Is-
gonna be a big one.
Is
you know?
is the converters sound any different
Mm-hmm.
running through that versus running through what we're running through now?
Yeah, that's what I want to know too. You know.
We're
'Cause,
gonna
like,
find out.
It seems like every time we do a live stream,
Mhm.
it always turns into that discussion. You know.
Yeah.
It always turns into that discussion, and it's like, you know, and I mean, listen. When we did the UAD and PreSonus one,
Yep.
you know, and it was fair to it is unfair to PreSonus a little bit because the PreSonus unit has so much more going on in it than
No,
the
you-
PreSonus one.
No,
does,
you mean
know?
yeah, you mean the
Yeah, the
universal audio
yeah,
unit.
that
It
one
does.
it's got
Right.
the DSP is going
yeah.
on. It's got all that stuff is going on in the unit.
Right.
Whereas the PreSonus is just A to D, D to A conversion. That's all that box is doing.
That is.
But
That's
it's
all
doing
doing.
twice as much of it.
Correct.
You know. But
Correct.
so to a certain degree, the comparison was you're comparing a 16 channel with a lot of extra capabilities to a 32 channel straight converter, you know.
Right.
So I mean, the fact that they were as close as they were, it kind of makes sense, you know, because you don't know they may even be using the same converters in those two boxes. We
Well,
don't know what they're using.
Right. We don't know, even though
You
the
know.
specs are a little different. But yeah, feature
Yeah.
for feature, when you can't just
Yeah.
look at the price of each one and go,
Mhm.
well, the universal audio is 2.5
Yeah.
times the
Yeah,
price.
it
but
costs
there's
more,
also,
so it's better.
right, because
you
there's
know.
also more stuff in the universal
Yeah.
audio that's not
Yeah.
in the PreSonus, and they're like two different
Mhm.
products,
Yeah.
really.
But now this comparison is you're taking a 32 channel converter
Hmm.
and you're comparing it to a 2-channel analog to digital converter, and that's all that box does.
So all the box does and
It
all
does.
it's built to do.
Yeah, so you're
That's
looking
it.
you're looking at a box that costs twice as much as the 32 channel converter doing 2 channels of conversion one direction.
Right.
You would think
You
for that
would think.
that the difference should be immediately noticeable.
You would
think.
You would think so.
You know, so that's kind of like what I'm looking forward to hearing too. Is like, is it going to be an immediate effect, or is it going to be okay? I kind of hear something. You know, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, it'll be
So,
interesting.
you know.
Well, so that video will come, I don't know, soon. But the
Yeah.
box is on the way. You guys asked me to get it, so
Yeah.
we're doing it.
Any
Experience
experience?
with the Crayborn 500 R8
Nope.
seems good. No experience with that one. The R8 is what is that? Is that a rack or is
That's
that?
I believe it's an 8-space rack.
Yeah,
yeah.
we know Brian, our member.
Yeah,
He
Brian.
has one.
Yeah, Brian is a Cranborn.
He
addict.
likes it. Yeah, he likes
yeah,
it.
he's a Cranborn
He
addict.
likes it,
He has
yeah.
a lot of Cranborn stuff.
Yeah, so no
So,
experience
you know.
with it, but I'm sure it's a good product. Don't know
Mhm.
much about it.
Yeah. you know.
Lexodon 10 says, "Hey Dave, I'm confident you will not be disappointed with the A to D Plus. Don't forget to compare the clock too." Right? Yeah, we gotta. Yeah,
But that's
we gotta. I got the extra long
Yeah.
BNC cable to do
Yeah.
the clock.
Yep.
So yeah,
So-
because you're gonna want to.
Yeah, but which one of us is going to crawl behind that rack and plug that sucker in?
Well, I'll figure it out.
All right.
We're gonna have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
so,
I know, but still, that's going to be that's the scary
Yeah,
part.
that's
You
a
know,
big pain in the ass to hear.
that one.
Well, you
yeah.
know, we'll do it both ways. We'll first do it
Yeah.
just as is, and then
Yeah.
where right now it's the PreSonus is the clock,
Yeah.
and then we'll do it with the Dangerous Music being the clock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, I don't know if there's going to be much of a difference, but maybe there will be.
Hey, you never know. I'm curious both ways. You know.
I hope
I've
there is.
I've never really thought much about clock. You know, I mean, like I've never really thought about clock at all. I mean, like I have the Focusrite with the Octopre, and I have them clocked together, but
Uh-huh.
I don't, you know, just plug it in, set it to 1, and I'm done. That's all I thought of. You know, I never gave it a
Yeah,
thought past that.
I don't know
You know.
enough about. Again, I don't know enough from a technically what's going on there that makes one better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure something's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's companies that make boxes that are just clocks
Yeah.
that are very expensive. And I'm going, okay,
Why? You know, like what's the advantage of that going to be?
Yeah,
That's what I don't understand.
what is your standard interface clock not doing
Yeah.
properly or good
Yeah.
enough or whatever?
Yeah.
I know it gets really, really technical. I'd like to hopefully get a layman's terms, explanation of that.
See, we got to get somebody on. We got to get somebody. We've talked about this before. Is we got to see if we can get anybody to do a live stream as us that can explain what's going on with converters and clock and stuff like that.
I've tried. I've been unsuccessful getting somebody. I've tried. I'm still trying. Someone that really understands it. I've had. That really understands it. Lexicon says you can check.
You can clock it digitally if you have SPDIF.
But the quantums don't have SPDIF.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Dangerous Music does.
I don't know. We'll find out. Do you have SPDIF cables? Because I have them. If you don't,
I do have SPDIF cables, but
so
I don't. I do not believe the Quantum 2626 has, or no, it was the Quantum 4848. That's what we're printing it back in on.
Yeah.
That does not have SPDIF on it, unfortunately.
Okay.
So we'd have to disconnect the word clock and just and then connect it to the Dangerous Music. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, something like that.
So we'll figure it all out. Like we'll try it. We'll try to make, again. We're going to try to make, obviously we're going to try to make the test as good and as clean as we as far as we possibly can.
Yeah.
To make it as accurate as we can. I mean, we're going to try.
And of course, be our usual completely objective selves.
Yeah, and be objective. If it sounds better, or it sounds different or whatever.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean,
we're going to say that it does, and
Yeah.
if it's good enough where it's like, okay, there's actually an improvement, well, I'm going to keep it, and if there's not, I'm going to send it back.
Yeah, it'll find a home right underneath the Trinnov, and everything will be hunky dory.
It will find a home.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's going to be fun. That'll be an interesting test to hear. Is there really a difference? Again, I'm not convinced.
And we got to string these guys along too for a while too. We got to do like 3 or 4 different videos and string them along.
Well, we're gonna do the print. We're gonna make the files available like we did with the other ones. So you could download it, bring it into your DAW, into your studio, and you can listen.
Yeah, you tell us what you hear,
and you can tell us which one you hear, which one you like, or unless it's so obvious. I mean, if it's so obvious, the reason why we did that on the last one was because we couldn't hear the difference.
Yeah, it was so subtle. The differences were so ridiculously subtle, if they even existed at all. And that's the other side of it too. Is like, the longer you listen to something, the more differences you're going to hear, because you just completely lose objectivity, and because that happened a lot with that last test too. It's like, after you've listened to the track 4 or 5 times and keep flipping back and forth, the differences that you perceive get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely. If you're trying to convince yourself that there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, like we were saying, in the first 5 minutes of me listening to that, if you can't hear it, it ain't there.
It ain't there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you got to listen to it for an hour, then it's like, well.
Yeah, and then I spent friggin' 40 minutes geeking out with meters and everything else and doing null tests.
And we can do that. We can do that as well.
Yeah, we can do the same thing on this too. But what I thought was funny too is like, there were a couple comments on my video on that, where people were sitting there like, well, you can hear how much different the low ends are in those things. Like, yeah, but no, if you listen to this again,
right,
you can't hear low end in that null test at all. All you're hearing is mids and highs. So the low end is nulling itself. The null ends were identical. It was the mids and highs that had the differences in them.
I gotta tell you, I was
like,
we did.
It was -60.
Yeah, I listened to that thing so many times.
It was -60. The difference. If you think you can hear a difference at -60, great. You should go get a job working for the CIA because you've got bionic ears.
I couldn't hear any difference.
I can't hear it, guys. I'm sorry, I can't.
So I'm hoping this time around we got a box that's dedicated to do this one job. This is what it's made to do.
Yeah.
People love the Dangerous Music stuff, because I know Dangerous Music makes really good gear anyway.
They make really good stuff.
And so I'm assuming we're going to hear something.
I would hope so.
So that's it.
Yeah.
Rusty says, I think I've heard you say you've written for film and TV before. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you ended up doing that, and things like that? I'm really
Dave,
curious.
how'd you end up being a music and TV music composer?
Well, that started many years ago. So maybe 20, it's going back a long time.
Yeah.
20 years. How I got into it was, I've always heard about that end of the business as a nice if you know, if you can nice passive income business if you can get in.
Yeah.
And so basically what I did with no experience and no inside connections is I joined a website called taxi.com. And then I recommend, because I get asked by my students at times about this. And I say the best thing that I did when I first started that is I joined taxi.com, which is an A&R place where you could submit music to listings. And what's really great about taxi.com, it's a paid subscription. So you got to pay like $200 a year to be a member.
Right.
But what's great about it is that there's lots of listings available in all different genres of music, both for TV, film, commercials, and otherwise. But so you have real companies looking for looking for music that you can submit to.
Right.
But what makes that website invaluable to me, especially when you're starting, is every single mix that you submit. And by the way, there is a small fee. Not only do you have to pay to be a member,
You
but
got to
then if-
pay to submit.
yeah, like $6 a
Okay.
song. And they do that because they don't want members submitting all their music to every single listing, even if it doesn't
Gotcha.
match up to what the demands are of the
Right.
listing.
Okay, so you're actually submitting music based upon a request.
A request.
Okay, so you're not just like randomly uploading music and people are just sorting through it and finding it. That
Correct.
Way then. Okay.
And what makes it's different than a music library.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but what's really great about it is every single mix that gets submitted, there's an A&R person that works at Taxi that's been in the music business in this part of the industry for many years. They listen to every single one, and they give you a well thought out written critique. Whether your song was forwarded to the listing to the end user or
Right.
not.
Right.
So if they want a song, for example, that says, we want a song for a commercial that's an instrumental version that sounds like the Rolling Stones song Satisfaction, but it can't be a duplicate copy.
Right. Copyright reasons.
We need to have a hard stop and a hard start,
Mhm.
and they give you some criteria.
Right.
You send in a song, and then they're going to write back and say, yes, we've listened to this, we pre-screened it for the client, and we forwarded your music along with some other members,
Right.
and they can have the final
Okay.
pick.
So
And this is why, or you know what, we didn't forward your song because you missed the mark, and here's where you missed the mark.
right.
And that feedback
That's ridiculously invaluable.
really
yeah.
helped me understand
Yeah.
when you're writing music for television and film, it is way different than when you're writing
Yeah.
music for yourself or trying
So-
to write a radio song.
So okay, so let's
Different.
so let me ask you this then, just like straight procedurally wise, you write the
Oh.
music after you see the request, or do you
Yes.
have music and then
it could be either way.
okay? So if you have something in the can that you think will fit that request, you can send it up, or you can take what they're asking for and try to compose to that request.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Lunch is here. Hold on, guys. He's going to take over. I'm going to grab our pizza, and then I can finish answering a little more of this
Oh,
question.
great. I'm gonna be alone with these guys.
Just don't stretch the.
I won't pull the cord. I promise. I promise I won't pull the cord. He'll be back in a minute, Rusty. He just that comment just popped up, so he'll be back in a minute. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that actually sounds pretty cool. See, I've never really been able to successfully compose a single note of music. I've been playing guitar for over 40 years, but I've never been able to successfully compose a piece of music. So the fact that he can even do that, that's impressive to me. So who all we got out there? We got like, what, 18, 20 people hanging on right now, I think? Not a lot of comments coming in, guys. Kind of quiet there. So, oh, look, the pizza's here.
Pizza's here.
Yay.
I'll
So, yeah, drop it over here and then twirl yourself back into your seat.
get some.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, come on, we got like 20 people, but no comments. So,
Really, got 20 people.
yeah, we got like 20 people in there, but no comments.
Nice.
So it's like, come on, guys.
So don't mind us, guys. We're gonna eat while.
Yeah, you're gonna listen to us eat, so that's gonna be very exciting for you.
It's gonna be really exciting for you.
You know.
So anyway,
Yeah, so that's actually. He asked if that's still active today. That's
It
still
is.
working now.
yeah. So taxi.com is a place you want to go. So you can. Again, you'll learn a lot, and there's a really great user community there, a user forum. You can meet other people. You get really good feedback, and you learn the ins and outs of that part of the industry because it is different than just writing songs for yourself. So I was a member there for probably 3 years, and also as a member, every year they have a big convention in LA, and it's free to go to the convention. They have all kinds of workshops, and you can bring samples of your music, and there's the real A&R people that'll listen to your stuff and sit with you one-on-one
Yeah.
and give you some feedback,
Yep.
which is fantastic.
Yep.
And
Spam away, Rusty.
yeah, so I was a member of that for 4 years, and oddly enough, in those first 3 or 4 years, I only had one submission ever forwarded to a client that got used. But I learned so much about it. What I ended up doing is when I stopped being a member, I then started submitting music to different publishing houses, and I got picked up by two. And they placed most of my music. So it took me about 3.5 years
Yeah.
to start getting in the rotation and getting on TV. And once I got in with these two publishing houses, I've had music on History Channel, on lots of channels, but on popular shows like American Chopper, my music's been in that. It's a lot of those muscle car shows.
Yeah.
Lots of that. I was in. They had a show not too long ago, Tattoo Inc. or Tattoo You, or that girl. What's her name? Vaughn.
Kat Von D.
I was in a lot of her stuff, her shows. I was in on Fox for football when NFL was on Fox at one
so
time.
I've heard your music, and I just had no idea I have.
You have, yeah. You know. So if you want to get started in that part of the business, the quickest way to learn about it and to maybe develop some contacts and get your feet wet is through taxi.com. At least that's how it worked for me.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that, and I've been doing that for a while.
So in general, like, how long does it take you? I mean, actually, no. Two questions. One, the pieces of music that you're composing. What are they usually, like a minute or two, or does it vary? It
could vary. My stuff typically is instrumental. It's more guitar-driven rock stuff, like riff rock, and it's usually anywhere from it's up to about 2 minutes, and then a lot of times they'll want a 30-second clip of it, or sometimes they'll ask me for a specific section of it, or they'll actually take the 2 minutes and they'll chop it up and use what they need. So yeah.
Okay, so how long does it usually take you to complete a piece from beginning to end, or does that vary a lot too?
To write the music?
Yeah.
If I'm writing it for a specific listing, maybe an hour.
Wow.
If I'm making just a big catalog for my publisher, it could vary depending.
Okay.
Not long.
Yeah.
Because it's not. I mean, obviously today we're recording in the box and everything. The quality is always really good, and you got to have a good mix. But it's not like mixing. It's not like mixing a song for an album, because most of the stuff, almost all of it actually, at least my music, is all background music. There's dialogue happening on the screen, or maybe it's a bumper into a commercial or something like that. It's not the main focus. And I was in a couple of movies too. Nothing that you would know. A couple of like independent film, like horror films, like really bad horror films, like stuff that you would never watch.
Yeah, but really bad horror films are really good horror films normally, you know. So,
well,
you know, they're the best ones.
But I'll tell you, it was really cool when me and my wife, the first time we actually went to a local theater.
Yeah.
And I saw the movie. What a crappy movie.
Yeah.
And
that's my music.
It was like in the first 10 minutes of the movie, it was just some some fight on the street in the middle of the night, and I hear, and they played about, I'd say, a good 60 seconds of the music, and then it was in the credits, the outro credits at the end of the film.
That's gotta feel pretty cool.
And I got to see my name on the big screen, so
that's gotta feel pretty cool.
And on that particular movie, I didn't make a lot of money. I made almost nothing because they had no budget, but it was just cool to say I was in a movie.
Nice, yeah. So we got Rusty Gomez from Pittsburgh. Hey Gus, how are you? Rusty says, and this is one of those questions I look at and go, I have no idea how to answer that. What is your most memorable aha moment in mixing, mastering, whatever? The moment where like you think you got it, you know?
They asking you, they asking me.
Both of us.
Okay, you answer that first.
I haven't had one.
Oh, well,
honestly,
answered.
Answered. Because like I have. Like, my biggest weakness is my ego. So, I've had periods of time where like I'm listening back to my work, I'm going, damn, I'm really good. And then the very next mix you do, you listen back to and go, this is the biggest piece of crap I've ever heard. So it's like, it's such a process of moving incrementally forward that I don't really feel like I've had like one moment where I can sit back and say, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? And that's like in everything, in my whole 40 plus year musical journey, I've never had that moment where I felt that, you know, because it's always so progressive. Because no matter what, you're always learning, you're always trying something
Yeah.
new, you're always picking up something
Mm-hmm.
new, you know. So that's why I say for me, don't really feel like I've ever had one.
Oh, that's well. Hey,
You
that's
know?
something to look forward to. For me,
Mhm.
it was probably back when I was first learning. My I mean, there's a lot of them along the way, as you said, but in the beginning, I think one of the ones that really stuck out was when I was first learning and being able to really dial my ears into compression,
Mhm.
because it's the thing that most beginners struggle with.
Yeah.
Even most intermediate mixers struggle with it,
Still do. Yeah.
because it
Still
is
do.
it is something that you know you can listen. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to students where you turn it on and off and it's obvious as day, and they go, I can't hear any difference, because they just
Mhm.
don't have they weren't able to connect their ear and their brain to what to listen for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as I was learning way back and someone explained to me how to hear compression, the first time I really heard it, that was huge for me, because it
Yeah.
really changed. I don't know what happened where all of a sudden now it's like, okay, the ear connected to what I was supposed to be listening for.
Yep. Yeah.
And once I learned that, I understood, oh, now I understand. And then you start talking about, well, now we're not talking about dynamic. We're controlling dynamics. We're talking about tone, and we're talking about
Mhm.
style.
Yep.
It was all from when I first heard it.
Yeah.
And it took a long time.
Yeah.
It took someone to sit me down in a room, and it's the
Mhm.
way I teach it at Home Recording Made Easy, where you set me down and go, here's exactly what I want you to dial your ear into.
Yeah.
And stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. And
Mhm.
when I heard it, I went, oh, now I get it. And
Yeah.
then it was instant. I can instantly hear it. And I don't know
Yeah.
why I had such a stumbling block
Yeah. I mean,
first.
I think my biggest issue with compression at this point is not necessarily not being able to hear it, but sometimes for me it's like knowing when not to use it. You know,
Well, yeah.
because like your tendency, especially when you're a plug-in junkie like I am, is to put something on everything. And
Right.
so like for me, it's like the struggle I run into a lot of times is knowing when not to do it. Just leave it alone. It's fine
Yeah.
the way it is.
So I think
know?
I think you go through two stages of learning this. Is that
Mm.
one is you got to learn how to hear, what to do, what the tools do, how to use them.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get proficient at that then the next thing is when, the best engineers know when to stay out of the way
Mm-hmm.
and don't put stuff on everything, and know when to use it. Or what they say, learn what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's always a challenge too, because once you learn how to use all the tools, you just want to use it, because it's like,
Yeah.
and then you can use a little too much of anything,
Mhm.
and it ruins
And then
it.
it's also the same thing too about like when to make it about you. You know what I mean? Because like every mixer, every engineer has some kind of a sound. You know what I mean? Like I know
Right.
I know I have a very distinct sound to what
Mhm.
I do, and it's like when to make it about you and when to not make it about you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because like if you're giving me your song to mix, and I've been fortunate, I've had a couple very good clients, and I mean
Yep.
I've got a couple dozen songs out on Spotify with my name on them, so I
Mhm.
feel very fortunate about that.
Yep.
And like the whole thing too is like they're giving me this because they want me to
Right.
do it. So
Right.
there is a point where you have to make it about you.
Mhm.
You have to make it about this is what I want it to be. But then there is also a point in it where you have to stop making it about you
Right.
and keep the artist's vision and stuff intact. And it's knowing where to draw that line
Mhm.
is incredibly important, because like in Mixing Made Easy, you know, your member website,
Mhm.
you hear varying approaches to that on the same song.
Oh yeah, right.
You know, we're like
Right.
one person will just go in there and completely make it
Right.
something, you know, like completely make it about themselves, and then the
Yep.
next guy will just completely just give you a nice clean artist
Mhm.
song, you know, because you're all mixing the same track, and you can tell the guys that spend a lot of time
Yep.
playing with it, and the guy that just like, you know, balance, panning,
Right.
a little EQ, a little compression, and out the door it goes.
Right.
You know.
Who
So-
spends too much time?
Yeah,
versus
and
not
who
enough-
spends not enough time? Yeah,
not enough
you know,
time.
and then like the longer you do it, the better you are at finding that balance.
Right.
But it's always that, you know, on every song you mix, there's always a where do you put that line, and you have to be willing to take your ego completely out of the equation
That's right.
at times and just leave it alone. If somebody submits you a set of tracks that is perfect right out of the box,
Mhm.
you know, you have to know enough to not mess with this.
Yep.
Leave it alone. Don't
Yep.
don't start screwing the whole thing up.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, no, all good points. And so when we're mixing because we're learning, or we're part of our membership, and people are mixing not for somebody else, you're learning it as part of their content.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, that's the place to have take all the freedoms you want, right, wrong, or indifferent, because that's the only way you're going to know what you do, what not to do, because there's no repercussions, because you don't have a paying person. You're learning.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the time to do the experimentation.
That's the time to do it.
Stuff.
You're right.
Yeah.
But for me, when you mix for clients, for me, it's never about me, ever. It's always about the client. Yes, you get hired for a reason because they want you to put your stylistic thing, and every project's different, and some clients give you more or less leeway to be experimental. But at the end of the day, for me, it's always about them. It's never about me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't like what I give them. I always like what I give them, but there may be things.
But then again, too, you've been engineering long enough too that your sound is ingrained. It's innate. It happens automatically.
Right. They're coming to me because I know what my mixes typically sound like. I have a style, and they come to me for that. Where someone may go to you because they like your style different than my style.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, it's always about the client.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different mindset when you're doing this for money.
Yeah.
Well, let me get to some questions, guys. Sorry.
Rusty wants to know what kind of money you can make from taxi.
It all really depends. It's not, here's what I'm going to tell you. Unless you get extremely lucky or you have connections inside the business, and I mean real connections in the business, don't expect to make a lot of money quickly. It took me about 5 solid years to start making regular income that continues to this day. And I make money on songs every 3 months. From music I haven't written in 15 years. Stuff that if you played it for me today, I probably wouldn't recognize.
Okay, so you're getting paid residuals then?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, cool.
All the time. Because if there's a show, let's say you're on a television show that's in syndication, and remember, it's not just in the United States, it plays all over the world.
Right. Yeah.
So I could be in a TV show that could be, technically, the series is over, but you're watching season 1 from 10 years ago in Brazil. Well, every time that episode plays, I get paid. So, yeah. So, taxi in and of itself, it really depends on if your song gets forwarded to one of their clients, and if they use it, where they use it, what kind of show is it, how many times does it get played? It varies. It's all over the map. But it's not a make money quick thing.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't for me and for everyone that I know in this business. They all say 5 years. 3 to 5 years from starting from zero, no connections, no music, don't know anything about that part of the business. 3 to 5 years is typically how long it takes to get in there. Yeah. Unless you know someone that's a publisher or owns or music supervisor or something.
Or unless you're the world's most brilliant composer ever and you nail it every time.
There's that too.
And you're prolific, and find me one of those other than Mozart.
There's that too, but most people are not that. So. But it's something that, if you're in, I highly recommend it because, again, it's passive income. Robert Miller, tracked my first vocal on a console, mixed up the headphone mix
with the main vocal.
Oh, you ended up printing the
effects. Okay.
Oh, as long as you liked it, I guess. Hey, good. Sometimes mistakes can be a happy accident. You know?
Either that or you just got to go in and do it again. Kaiser hears a little static, and then there's a fan running.
Oh, what you might be hearing, guys, is you might be hearing my laptop. The fans are kicking on in here, and we also have a little. You can't really hear it, but we have a little bit of a breeze from a fan because it's warm in here today.
It's warm in here today. Yeah.
And I noticed that too on the last live stream, and I listened back and going, "What's that noise?" And I realized it's my laptop.
Yeah, because it's sitting right in front of the mic. Yeah.
This is why I got to get the new. This is an older laptop. This is an old 2017 Intel. I got to get one of the new Mac M2s. They say you don't even hear the fan turn on. That's what I got to eventually get. Yep. So I think that's maybe what it is, or maybe there could be some other interference, but typically it's pretty good.
Oh, here we go. Pacifier music. Go ahead, read that.
Oh,
go ahead, read that.
What's your recommendation for a good outboard vocal compressor under $1,000? Is Warm Audio a good choice?
Hey, look at the live stream.
Yeah. Got asked about Warm Audio.
Every time.
Is Warm Audio a good choice? Under $1,000?
Under $1,000? Yeah, it's okay.
Depends on,
I personally would look more at a Black Lion.
I'm going to take $1,000 is your budget. Vocal compressor.
I personally would look more at like a Black Lion or a Lindell
Or an
possibly.
Audioscape.
Or well, Audioscape is not under 1,000 for compressor.
It's at 1,000.
You know.
Or it's
Yeah.
1,100. Would 1,100 be okay?
All right. Well, let's if you want to if you want to stay well under $1,000.
Well under 1,000. Okay.
Okay. Lindell
Lindell.
is making a couple very interesting LA2A style and 76 style compressors for well under $1,000.
Okay.
Black Lion, which we both have experience with,
Black Lion.
is closer to 1,000, and they do make some very impressive. They make a very nice 17. Their model is 17, which is the FET. And
what about the Black Lion audio thing you just brought up today? The $500
the
Blue Stripe.
the Bluey, that was I believe $600 or $700 500 unit.
I mean,
it's really good on vocals. We can
sounds-
say that.
sounds really good. I mean,
Yeah,
we
it-
put it on just about anything. That sounded good.
It sounded good on everything we put it on today. So that's another one. If you have a 500 rack, you go look at Black Lion, the Bluey 500.
Some people, well, not me, but I have no. Do you have any experience with Golden Project Age?
I do not. I've always been curious about Golden. back
Charlie
then,
does.
Golden Age product.
Charlie
Yeah.
does.
Charlie
He's-
has
he's-
some Golden
He's always
Age,
said very good things
He
about
says it very good. I know he has a bunch of the LA3A, the mini ones. I forget what model they're, but the little ones are like they're like a quarter rack space.
Right.
So you can put 4 of them in one rack space.
Right,
He's
right.
got a bunch of them. He speaks very highly of those.
He does.
So there is a lot of stuff out there in that price range that you can look at, other than Warm Audio. Now Warm Audio is fine. I mean we made a video. I don't know if you were here before, but we made a video today comparing the Warm Audio bus compressor to the SSL bus compressor in the console. And I believe that Warm Audio showed itself very well, considering the price point that you're working at.
Right.
Okay. But are there better choices out there? Probably. Do they cost more money? Yeah. But
Yeah,
even then, audio. I mean, Audioscape makes a bus compressor in that same price range.
Right. He's talking about a vocal compressor.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as far as like quality to price, you know what I mean. But like as far as like a vocal compressor, there's a whole bunch out there in the under $1,000 range, other than the Warm Audio, that you could certainly try.
Yeah. If we're talking under $1,000, I would. My first thought would be Black Lion Audio over Warm Audio any day of the week, and it's only. And it's probably only a couple of $100 more than the Warm Audio, right?
If even.
Right. What was that 500 thing? $600?
$699.
And what's the Warm Audio 1176?
About the same price.
$500 or $600?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some choices for you.
Yeah. I mean, definitely look at more than just Warm Audio. But like I said, I'm not saying Warm Audio is bad, because I have 3 pieces of Warm Audio stuff, and I've used them quite successfully for a number of years now.
Yep.
I'm not saying Warm Audio is bad. I'm saying that there are other choices, and to not just zone in on the one that's most prominently advertised. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Warm Audio is bad. I just don't own any of it. But I always come back to people have quality issues. There's inconsistent quality there.
You did do a couple of tests on Warm Audio compressors
Many
a few years back on HRME, and you were not impressed. I remember your conclusion on both the LA2A style and the FET style was the plugins are just as good.
Right.
So you're not gaining anything.
So we'd have to redo that test in order to many years later to know if it's any different.
And we don't know if they may have changed the circuitry in the boxes, because that's one thing they don't talk about. You know, I mean, they may have updated the circuitry to be better. I don't know.
Right.
But like I said, again, just to reiterate, it's like there are other choices out there that you might want to take a look at if you're in that price range.
Yeah, $1,000 you can get a decent compressor.
Absolutely.
You absolutely can, especially in the 500 rack.
Yeah. Yep. And honestly, the Black Lion, the dual compressor that I have with the FET on one side and the LA2A on the other.
That's about $800 or so.
Yeah, it was I think like 12 or 13.
Oh, it's more than that.
Not cheaper. It's not cheap.
Okay.
But it gives you 2 compressors in one chassis, and they both sound very good. And then when you cascade them into each other, it really sounds good.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe that one. Hopefully that helps you.
Because like I said, that gives you 2 compressor choices, and then you can cascade them into each other in either direction. So yeah, that is one of the most flexible vocal compressors I've ever seen.
There you go. So
in a
maybe
decent
that
price,
Blackline
you know?
Audio
It's
17.
it's the B17
B17. It's a little more than
Yep.
$1,000, but you're getting two compressors
Yeah,
in one.
and it'll do the job for you solidly. You know.
Okay. Rusty says he agrees. The first time he noticed movement. I should be putting these comments on the screen.
Yeah.
Right? Should I be doing that?
Yeah, you should be,
I should be doing that. Sorry,
we're
guys.
doing a stream.
And we're eating.
And we're eating.
The first time he noticed movement with compression, distressor on a drum bus, is when you get the release time correct and you hear the movement. That was cool. Yeah. So once you know how to, once you hear it, first you got to hear it, and then you figure out what all the controls do to make it do what you want.
Yeah.
But the struggle for beginners is they can't even hear the difference. Even when to a trained ear, it's like, wow, I can't believe you can't hear it. But I was that way too at first.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear. I thought, oh, gee, maybe there's something wrong with my ears or whatever. Maybe I just can't do this. And it wasn't that. It was just, for whatever reason, it didn't connect with me until someone sat me down. But
yeah, you know, it's funny. It's just I just thought of this too. It's like a very good friend of mine was in my apartment a couple of weeks ago, and I was playing him one of my in the box mixes.
Oh, was our focus off? Someone's saying our focus is off. Can you adjust? It's on the console, not on you guys. Really? Okay.
Really?
Let me try to adjust that. Hold on. Or maybe it's on the pizza box.
Maybe. Okay. Well,
Sorry about that. It's in manual focus.
It's manual focus.
I could put it on autofocus.
Yeah.
And that might help.
Yeah, put it on. It'll probably pick one of us for eyesight, but you know.
Well, we're sitting right next to each other. Is it more on the console?
I thought it was fine. I could read your shirt just fine, so you know.
All right. Well, let me try this. Hold on. I'm gonna go to autofocus. Oop. It's gonna get all screwy for a minute. Autofocus continuous. And right now it's gonna pick up on Dave. And it should pick up on me as well. Well, we're sitting right next to each other, so it ought to. Let us know if that's any better.
Yeah, please, you know. Because we want to be in focus. We want you guys to see our beauty, you know.
Oh, and look what it did when I put it in Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Does that look better, guys?
Yeah, fine.
It
All
looks-
right, you were right. We were wrong.
Remember I was saying before, I thought it might be a little bit. I thought maybe it was my eyesight sucks. So
I know. I got to go get new glasses.
sorry,
so
guys.
I'm
Hopefully
blind.
that's better. If that's better, let us know.
Eagle Rage says good afternoon. Good afternoon, Eagle Rage.
Good afternoon.
Daniel Bader. Hello, beautiful people. Where? I don't know any of those.
Okay.
Eagle Rage.
Don't know if you remember. Oh, let me get his comment up here. Don't know if you remember my question a few live streams back about dog controllers versus a console, but I managed to acquire an Allen & Heath G&L 4000. Can it be used for mixing in the studio?
That's a good question.
I don't know that. That's isn't that an analog desk though? That's
yeah.
not.
I think the Allen & Heath GL series is a live console.
Yeah.
I mean, can it be used to mix? Yeah. Are there better choices? Yeah. But, you know, let me just take a look really quick. Was it GL 4000?
GL 4000. Can it be used for mixing in the studio? I would imagine so. Again, I don't know it, but he's going to look it up. Daniel says, can you please talk about the relationship between kick and snare frequency-wise? How close they have to be or distant? What is the criteria between kick and snare frequency-wise? Well, kick and snare don't live in the same frequency. They don't live at the fundamentals are completely different. So I'm not sure what you mean. How close or distant do they have to be? Well, I may be misunderstanding the question, but typically on a kick drum, if you want to know how I kind of EQ a kick drum, typically, which is probably what most of you do, somewhere between 50 and 60 hertz is where the fundamental is going to be, right? So if you're going to boost it all, that's typically where it's going to be. Sometimes between 6 and 8K to get a little bit of the slap, that will be a little bit of a boost. Usually around that 240 to 260 mark might be a little bit of a dip. I mean, again, this is general, depends on a whole bunch of different variables, but that's pretty standard, right? Where snare, on the other hand, you're usually gonna, maybe you're rolling off 80 and below or 90 and below typically. Maybe you're boosting a little at 150 is typically where the fundamental of a snare usually lives, depending on the snare itself. Usually that 5 to 6 or 4 to 6K range is a little bit of a bump as well.
And add some air to the snare too.
Yeah, a little bit of crack and air to the snare.
Yep. Now looking at this console.
So what the criteria is it all depends on how it sounds in the mix. But that's typically some of the EQ moves you would make on those two
Yeah.
things that are pretty standard, and it's going to move a little bit depending on the source.
See,
but-
that's always been one of my pet peeves is template mixers, who every time they mix a kick and a snare, they push the same frequency every time.
Oh, it depends on what it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's like there's different requirements for different mixes, and if you just keep pushing the same frequencies on everything, it's just very cookie cutter mixing to me. That's always been a pet peeve of mine. Now, if that's what you do, great. I mean,
Right.
I'm not telling you what to do or not to do. I'm saying that's not the way I mix. I take each one individually and push whatever frequencies I think it needs for that particular,
right.
deal. So anyway, looking at this compressor really quick. This was
Console.
console. Looking at this console really quick, it was intended to be a live mixing and monitor console.
Oh,
So
Okay.
you can certainly use something like that in a studio format, but you're going to be giving up a lot of like routing flexibilities, and also
You want
a
more
live.
pie?
No, I'm good. A live mixing console
Mhm.
is not going to be built to be as quiet as a studio console is going to be built. So there could be a noise issue with it. There could be a noise floor issue with it using it.
We're talking about Allen and Heath now?
Allen and Heath.
They make
yeah.
great gear, though.
Oh, they
don't
do make very good gear, but I'm just saying, like a console that was designed for live specific use,
Yeah.
is not going to be designed to the same criteria as a studio console as far as like noise and everything else. Plus, you're giving up routing for inserts and stuff like that. But it's got EQs, it's got faders. So
Yeah,
I mean,
so as long as you
it's got pan pots, so
so-
you can certainly do a perfectly a good serviceable stereo mix on it.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Easily.
guess I would think you could,
You know,
as long
so
as you got all the right,
absolutely.
as long as you got all the right I/O on it, you should
Yeah.
be able to use it as a mixing desk.
Yeah, I mean, you can use anything as a mixing desk. Anything.
Yeah.
So-
Braxel says, "Oh, hey Braxel, how are
Hey,
you?"
Braxel's here.
He said Audioscape has two of their 76 at $8.99 each, and the other one's at $9.99. Yeah, I thought the
Yeah, I thought they were okay. Yeah, I'm wrong.
they're
Yeah,
a little bit they're a
yeah,
little
they
under
are. They are
1,000.
below 1,000. Yeah, I think the LA2A is not below 1,000 though.
Maybe not.
So,
So
you know.
yeah, so there you go. So there's another vocal compressor you can use.
Yeah.
You can use it on anything, but
Yeah.
or Eddie says get the DBX 160. Yeah, 160A.
They're fantastic compressors. The 560A 500 units, less than $300 a piece. They're fantastic compressors.
Kaiser uses the warm audio bus compressor, and that thing rocks. Awesome.
We just Kaiser, I don't know if you've heard it before, but we just did a comparison of the warm audio bus compressor to the SSNL bus
Today, we did
this
the video.
morning.
You won't see it for a bit.
Video will be up in probably a month or two, but yeah, we just did a full side-by-side comparison of the two units.
Okay, he says thanks for the advice. Great.
What's all the noise in the background? We have a fan
Oh,
running.
sorry, can you put it in the comment?
There's a
Yeah,
fan running, sorry.
It's my laptop. It's
hot in
it's
here.
the laptop fan. What you're hearing is the laptop fan
Yeah,
more than anything else.
yep. It's hot in here too.
Yeah. Eventually, I'm going to upgrade to the new Mac where the fans don't even turn on.
Mm-hmm. See, Pacifier Music, thanks for your advice. I'll take those choices. I've heard good things about Black Lion. Yeah, I love Black Lion. I've got a few Black Lion pieces now, and I love them all. So yeah,
Yep.
you know, and it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that I know the owner of the distribution company, but you know that they haven't given me anything. They have not given me anything.
Not
so,
yet.
you
Yeah,
know.
we got to work on that.
I know I got to work on that. We need people to subscribe.
Got to work on that.
We need subscribers. I need to go in there and be able to say, hey, listen, I got 15,000 subscribers.
Right.
So we
Right.
can give me something.
Right.
So,
and,
you
and,
know.
you're, and if you're joining late, we talked a little earlier about the we bought the Dangerous Music 80D Plus. We're going to be doing a video on that hopefully soon.
Yep.
We're going to compare the converters between that and the PreSonus Quantum.
I'm looking forward to
So
that.
we're going to
one
put
a lot.
we're going to put that whole debate to bed at one point very soon.
Yep.
Very soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, how many people we have running around
I
here?
don't know.
I'm going to check my thing here. We have 27,
Wow.
29.
Nice. Hi guys.
Nice. Hi guys.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for watching us eat pizza. You know.
Yeah, hope that wasn't too rude
We were
for you guys.
Yeah, I hope that wasn't really strange, but hey, we were hungry.
And hopefully we're in focus now.
Yeah.
We
That
should
would be nice,
We
too.
should be anyway.
Yeah, that would be nice too. So.
That'd be cool. So what else, guys? What else, you guys? Anything else at all? Or this could be a short live stream.
It's man. Yeah. I gotta drive home.
He's gotta go all the way back to New York.
Then I gotta go through frickin' Memorial Day traffic on the way back out of Connecticut, and that's
Yeah.
never fun. But well, like I
Yeah.
said, I gave myself plenty of time today, so
So we have more videos that'll be coming. All the videos that are coming up soon. I think next week we're gonna have. We have the comparing the sound of the the Origins preamp on audio, just running to the preamp, nothing else.
Right.
Print it back in
Mm-hmm.
to just in the box. Don't run it through the SSL.
Right.
To run it, don't run it through the SSL, but run it with an SSL channel strip preamp.
Just the preamp. No other processing going on.
Correct.
Okay.
So that video I think is next week.
So basically, you're looking to see how well they modeled the preamp staging.
And if you can hear any difference between
Yeah.
what is, if you just ran
Yeah.
it through the desk,
Yep.
what is the sound
Yeah.
versus not running it through the desk.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting.
Yep.
That video's already done.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Rusty up here.
Oh, sorry, Rusty.
So what if SSL made a UC 16 or 32, where it looks like the G or E series, but it's also just a DAW controller for the plugins? A DAW controller in a full console size format with full channel. It's been done. I mean, what was the one you had in here? The $3,000 plus one. I can't think of the name of it.
The Icon QCon.
The Icon QCon. It's basically been done. It doesn't have all the knobs on it.
So he's saying if they made it looked just like a console.
Yeah, it would be cool. It would also
really
be
cool.
really expensive.
Yeah, so
you know.
today their SSL products, you could daisy chain like the UF8s together, but I guess what he's saying is, what if they made one that looked
like a console,
just like
with,
a console
with all the knobs and faders and
Yeah.
everything else? I mean, it would be cool.
I'm surprised nobody's. Well, the Avid does something like that. But,
for
but
Pro Tools control.
but
yeah.
it doesn't look like it's the
Yeah.
Pro Tool controller. But he's
Yep.
talking about what if
Yeah.
it looked just like
Yeah.
an E series console, but it was all
all
control.
DAW control. First of all, that would have to be one hell of a computer.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, you have to be a hell of a computer, but yeah, it would be cool.
Maybe there will be.
Yeah.
Brax, so since you bought a new rack unit, are you gonna get more racks?
That's
no?
the question, isn't it? Every week again.
No,
Same
we
thing.
got plenty of racks.
No, we're not adding any more rack
There's no
space
more
to
rack
this thing.
unit. The dangerous music will go in the computer rack. So the computer rack,
Yeah.
you guys don't normally see it, but today you can.
Yeah.
It's right over here to Dave's left.
Yeah.
So you can see where I have the lamp, and then there's like a bunch of racks there. That's always been the computer and all the I/O.
Yeah. Power supply.
Power
the Personas
supply.
are in there,
The
and
Trent off is over there.
Yeah.
That's out of the way because you don't really touch that. So that's
Yeah.
where the dangerous music box would go.
Yeah.
If in fact we kept it.
Yeah.
So, but no more gear racks.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, I know how many times have people said you can go at least one or two higher all the way up to the ceiling, and it's like, yeah, no. It's like, no.
No, there's no reason to do that.
No, not doing it.
Daniel says, thank you. I wasn't clear, but I won't rephrase it. I have an LA2A from Golden Age Project.
Yeah.
They are fantastic, to be honest. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm not a super fan of the clone
Of the-
1073 mic pre.
Yeah, but that's a hard one to get right unless you go out and get the exact components that Neve used. And that mic pre's been out of production for,
Well, no, they still make it 1073.
yeah, they still do, but like the original one was made how many years ago?
Well, yeah.
You don't know if the components. Were still the same,
the difference again, you're talking about Golden Age Project or whoever else that makes these replicas. If they're making them, a Neve 1073 is $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the 500 rack, right? So if you're going to make something that's $300 or $400, there's something in that unit that's different.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It can't be the same.
Yeah, agreed.
And so, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard too many clones of some 1073, so I couldn't tell you.
I know, like the warm audio one that I have, a guy that I've interacted with in a couple of chat rooms has said too that, like the actual Neve 1073 preamp has like multiple gain stages in it, whereas warm audio compromised on their design and they only have one gain stage going into it. So I guess I don't know how they're doing, like they're driving into it harder or whatever, but like there's a lot of compromises going on with them. So I don't know, because I'm not about to start going into circuit diagrams and stuff to figure it out.
You plug it in, either it sounds good.
Yeah, it either does or it doesn't. So
right. Eddie says, can you talk about your mics? What are your normal go-tos when tracking vocals, for example? Well, I don't really track here, so I don't have any. I don't, back in the good old days, it could have been anything from a U87 was a standard, an AKG 414 was popular back then.
Depending on the voice.
Depending on the voice. When I was tracking, it was all the standard classic stuff that was available in the studio at that time. It wasn't anything weird or out of the ordinary. But they were all high quality, high end typically. But I don't track vocals. I haven't done that in years, so I don't really have any recommendations. But again, there's a lot of stuff out there today. $1,000 ish that you can get some, or even a little less, you can get some really great microphones. You know what would be really good for it, but I haven't tried it on vocals, is those Roswell microphones I did on the drums.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I know
Roswell makes
the
K47,
K47. K47. Great vocal.
Mini K87. Those things
Yeah.
get a lot of praise
Yeah.
from people who have much more expensive microphones, and they say that they sound way more expensive than they really are. Those Roswells, and
Yeah.
they're like $600.
They carry themselves well.
Yeah, so that might be one to check out
Yeah.
if you're looking for something at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of inexpensive mics out there now that do sound good. I mean, like I had, like my small but mighty mic collection. I have a couple of Rhodes. I have an NT1A and an NT2A, and you know, depending on the voice, they sound really good. You know.
Yep.
So, you know, but I said, but again, too, it depends on the voice, because a microphone that sounds good on one voice can sound like garbage on the next one.
Right,
So,
exactly.
you know.
So, okay, Kaiser says, thanks for the update on the Dangerous. You're very welcome. That's coming.
Nucleus, I'm not sure what he's referring with.
That's
Nucleus.
SSL makes a Nucleus, which is the DAW controller, kind of a mini console, but it doesn't look like the E or G series, but it's about, and that's about a $20,000 console, by the way. Or at least it was.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thunder House.
He's talking to one of the other ones.
I use the ADK mics. My go-to is the Z67, which is designed after the M269 or U67. Next choice are the brighter Z12s, the darker Z49s. So you must be a fan of their stuff. That's great. I don't know anything about it, but those are some good recommendations.
Good. Thanks for the recommendation.
Cool. Oops. Rusty wants to know, are there any modern gear that you think companies will do replicas of in the future, like the 1176? Oh, is there any modern gear?
Is there any gear being made now that we see them duplicating in 20 or 30 years?
Oh, I don't
know. Because a lot of the gear being made now is duplicating stuff they made 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, I don't. There's not a lot of. There's not a lot of new modern.
What modern gear? I mean,
let's
look over here for a second and think about it. But like everything, pretty much everything in this rack is in one way replicating something old. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, really, honestly, I mean, like the Distressor is a relatively modern compressor, but you know, it's also emulating older compressors. You know, I mean. So, yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything that I would refer to, I mean, at least not in our experience, as a piece of modern technology that we use.
So if the question is there a new kind of piece of gear that came out, in the last 3 or 4 years that you think 30 years from now they're going to be making copies of, like on the 1176? And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like today every new piece of gear that comes out is, for the most part, a throwback to, and then modified or updated, or some maybe more modern features on a classic.
Yeah, because it's what people want too.
Right.
It's like that's the whole thing. It's like the demand right now is for the classic hardware. Because I mean, like as we were talking the other day, Audioscape keeps coming out with more and more replicas of older gear, and let alone the fact that they do an amazing job of duplicating it. You know, it's like, but this is what people want. There's people if they keep coming out with new models, and people obviously are buying it, and people obviously want it. You know, because like, good luck buying a piece of Audioscape gear, because you got to be on that website like when they go live.
Yep, you do.
You got about 30 seconds to get it bought, and then it's gone again.
Right.
So, you know, obviously, like the demand is still there for the old stuff. I don't see anybody really developing new.
No, the newest things, I mean, something that recently came out of NAMM was Cranborn did something with those new cool EQs. With the freaking... forget the name of it, but those seem kind of interesting.
Yeah, they were very interesting, actually. I mean, actually,
do you think 30 years from now there's going to be a company going back and trying to make a replica of that?
I don't think anybody's going to make any replicas of 500 gear.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't see there being like a piece of 500 gear coming up that's going to be considered like an all-time classic must-have piece of gear.
Maybe we'll be dead, so we won't. Yeah, well,
I mean, that's the whole thing too. Like, I won't be around to see it anyway. So
Kelly says, "Love my Roswells." Yep, and then ditto on the Rode.
Yep.
Agrees with the Rode. Daniel says, "Oops, excuse me here. Do we feel that we need to move on from modeling analog gear with plugins and start making more modern tools that helps us in other ways, like auto align and like the Fab Filter stuff, etc. Well, yeah, I mean now
Yeah.
all the plugins are a lot of them are going the way of AI, right? So there's a lot of new plugins
Yeah.
that are coming out that are doing stuff with AI to help make things quicker, better assist, better analyze the source material and develop. So
Yep. I mean, Sonible's doing some amazing AI.
yeah,
work,
I haven't
you
used
know?
I haven't used their stuff, but
Yeah.
there's a company right there that does it.
Yeah.
Isotope does
Isotope
it.
has it, like the
You know,
the Isotope mastering stuff, and there's a lot. There's a lot of AI involved in that, you know. But there's other ones too that are trying to do AI, and they're doing not a very good job of it. So you know,
yeah. Well,
everybody's
it's a
trying
new,
to jump
still,
on board.
still a new technology,
Yeah,
though, right?
I mean, like as much as I love Tone Empire, and I love Tone Empire, they've done a couple AI plugins that just, you know, they're okay, but when you put them up against something like a Sonable, they're not there yet.
Yeah. So
So
I think you know, do we need to move on from from making the reason why all these companies are making emulations of the old gear is because that's what people want. People want
Yeah.
the old gear.
But then again, we've
I
had
don't know why.
we've had this discussion many times. So it's like you actually have to start feeling bad for plugin developers because
Yeah.
you know, I mean, how many Pultec emulations do we need? How many
Right.
1176
Right.
emulations do we need? I mean, and me being the unapologetic plugin junkie that I am,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can go into my plugin collection and pull out 10 Pultec emulations,
Right.
all different,
Right.
but they all do the same job.
Yeah, they're all
You know,
similar
so
enough.
so
that,
like,
yeah.
so like if you're like somebody's coming out with a Pultec emulation, you're not coming out with anything new. But like I said, but at this point too, it's like Fab Filter is doing some very interesting stuff. I know that Kirchhoff EQ that you get through Plugin Alliance, a lot of people are saying that is the go-to EQ now.
Really, I haven't
Yeah.
used it.
And
Interesting.
you know, but like I said, the Sonable AI stuff, the Isotope AI stuff,
Yep.
it's all very interesting, fascinating stuff that's coming out.
Right.
And you're kind of curious to see, like 5 years from now, what they'll be doing. I mean, we'll all be out of a job. They'll just plug a song into the AI, and it'll come out the other end. And
I don't know about that, but
you know.
maybe. I mean,
yeah, but you know, I mean, but you know, well, yeah, now with Atmos too, so there's gonna be a lot of AI
Yeah.
for Atmos coming out now too. So,
Rusty says that's my point. Nobody makes amazing new stuff. They're
Yeah.
all just trying to emulate old stuff. When
Mhm.
will we see some new staples? It's a good question. I mean,
people
I don't know.
have to be inventive too.
Well, and I also guess, well, what do you want?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
what other new here? And here's, I don't, you know, the reason why that's the stuff in the racks and the classic gear is held up for the last 50 years is because it does the job really well.
Yeah, and
And so what do you, I mean, I guess if you had to say, well, what would you want? The only thing that I think that I wish manufacturers would do more of is like what West Audio does, makes analog boxes that can
Yeah.
be digitally controlled and recalled for settings.
yeah, and
That I think is a really that's not brand new, but that's something that I think is a wonderful update
yeah.
to
But you know,
to a problem.
but you look at they are coming out with solutions to specific problems too right now. Because look at that Trinoff back there.
That's not a plugin.
But it's not. But it's like this, any technology, you know, make any kind of developmental
Right.
technology, whether it's hardware or software. When you look at that Trinoff back there, that's you know a very very modern thing. You know, fixing up, you know, correcting a problem that's been a problem for people for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know, like and it's, you know, there are plugins that do the same thing. Yeah, but that, you know, but this is what I'm saying. It's like there is new technology coming out, but it's basically being designed to deal with specific issues that people have, because like you say, people still want the older stuff. I mean, we were talking about that the other day. You know, I mean, vinyl. People are back to buying vinyl.
Yeah,
again,
it's like a cycle.
yeah, they
right?
want
Yeah.
that sound. They want, you know, and like
Right.
vinyl is the most it's ridiculously obsolete technology. But people are buying it again, and they're making turntables and they're pressing vinyl again because that's what people want. So, you know, there are people, you know, digital music, and listen, everything that we do is the idea is to make digital music sound more analog.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, so that's why there's nothing major new coming out, because this is what we're trying to do, is keep it old.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know what else I would ask for, right? But I
Yeah.
think as far as plugins go, it'll be the AI stuff. Will probably be the stuff that kind of
Yep,
takes
and
over.
all kinds of Atmos stuff is going to be
in
coming
Atmos,
out, you know.
in Atmos stuff.
You're gonna be able to do full Atmos mixes in a laptop, you know.
You can do that now,
with what they've got coming
kind of
out,
with the
you know.
binaural stuff.
Yeah.
Trip Killer says digitally controlled analog like the NG76. Yeah, there's one right down there in the rack.
Yeah,
Just
one
haven't done a
right over
video for it yet.
Yeah.
That to me is something that's a huge improvement. I wish all the analog gear had that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I agree.
That's really cool.
Yep.
And I think more companies will continue to do that. Will anyone go back and make a LA2A that's digitally controlled?
You can only hope.
I don't know.
You only hope, you know.
I don't know.
Yep.
Eagle Raid says, I'd say the only modern new gear would be Audioscape's 12 spring reverb. I have one of those too.
Yeah, but that's not new technology.
That's new. That's based on a unit from the early 80s.
It's based on a unit that was made 30 years ago.
That's an analog reverb.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not new technology. They just recreated something that they made 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's actually from new and modern in that I don't know of anybody else that makes a rack-mounted analog reverb. Right? Because if you think about Lexicon, Bricasti, all those are all digital boxes.
Yeah, they're all digital boxes. Yeah,
amazing digital boxes.
Does Tegler make one, or is that a digital box?
Not a reverb.
Okay, so that's a digital box that they.
Oh, they make a reverb, but I think
it's a digital reverb.
Yeah, I don't think it's analog. I mean, actually, and I forget. I don't know if it's 12 or 16 spring. There's actual physical springs in the Audioscape unit.
Yeah, yeah.
So
they're tuned too.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
So it's new and modern in that no one's really made that, but it's not on a new technology. It's on a technology that's 100 years old.
Yeah. So, you know.
But it's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Dave, do you like running the vocal through an 1176 and then through an LA2A?
That's how I tend to do it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how he does it. I think Loop Trotter Monster is a great newer compressor. Oh, okay. Loop Trotter Monster. Manley has some new gear, and and the latest offerings from SSL with the Bus Plus and Fusion are great. Great new analog gear is still coming out. Yeah, no, again, I don't know much about the Loop Trotter, and that may be new, but even again, the SSL stuff, I guess it's new gear, gear.
It's new gear.
It's not a new technology.
No, because the Bus Plus is basically the bus compressor with like an EQ section added to it.
With some modern features.
With more modern features, but you're using the G Bus compressor
right
with more capability added to it.
Yeah.
So again, it's like. I guess it's coming down to.
I guess you would say that's. I guess you consider that modern.
How are you defining new and modern? I mean, like to me, the idea of new and modern would be a piece of hardware that comes out that nothing else has ever done. You know what I mean? Like coming out with a new technology to do something that has not been done before. Whereas, coming out with a Bus Plus and having the G Bus compressor in there with added capabilities, it's not new technology. It's a new take on old technology. But it's not new technology. We haven't developed something that we haven't seen before.
Like where AI is considered that's new. That's totally new.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the debate there is like which way are we going, you know?
So Rusty's talking about AI. So the question regarding AI is, do we want it? If yes, how and where? And when we do not want to use AI? Well, I mean, I think AI is still in its infant stages. I guess as it pertains to music and mixing, I don't see that. I mean, I don't see that in the foreseeable future. I mean, who the hell knows? 50 years from now, we're all on the ground.
Yeah.
Will it be like the Jetsons? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
In the foreseeable future, I don't see AI. See, the thing about mixing is, remember, you got to remember that people that really learn this craft understand that mixing only, at the very most, 50% of it is talking about the frequency and where we boost and where we cut on a certain element, or we listen to a piece of music and we can somehow, like what Isotope does with Audio Lens, and they can somehow go in with some AI and they can match the EQ matching and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's one part of it, but the part that AI can't do, at least not yet, is the human element and the emotion that you invoke when you work on a piece of music. That's not that only comes from here and here, and it doesn't come from a machine.
Yeah.
So I don't know from a mixing perspective, because that's what we kind of talk about here for the most part, is how do you have some AI contraption be able to figure out, it's such a personal and creative and stylistic thing.
Yeah.
I don't see how that happens. I mean, maybe like I said, who knows?
Yeah,
in the
well, I mean,
future?
I honestly at this point I don't see AI developed to the point where it's going to take over. I mean, the whole do you want AI? I think it depends on context, as with everything else.
And what,
There
what,
are
what do you want it
there
for?
are
Right?
yeah. What do you want the AI to do for you? I mean, if you want the AI to mix the song for you, there are programs out there that do it. Now, we just had in Mixing Made Easy, one of our members
Tried it.
just did an AI mix. He used Isotope, but he used Nectar and whatever. I mean, but
Yeah,
he
use
did
Isotope products.
yeah,
Yeah.
he did an Isotope AI mix. He let it mix the whole song, and then he put it up, and it was not good.
No, it wasn't a
It
good
was
mix.
not good at all.
Wasn't good.
And so it's like do I trust AI to do a full mix at this point? No, not with what's available out there. Do I have AI plugins? Yes. Do I use them? Yeah. I was mastering out a track that I mixed for MME Mixing Made Easy a couple months ago that I could not get a bus compressor on the master to do what I wanted it to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I shoved Sonable on it.
It did it for you?
And I pulled up one of the presets and I let it do its thing and I made like 2 little tiny tweaks to it and it was perfect.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, it helped out that day. I couldn't come up with something, it did it for me.
Right.
But then the very next time I put it on something to master it out, it was completely the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't do the job and I ended up going into, using something else. So it's a case by case basis, all based on context.
Yeah, I don't see AI becoming your mixer in all our. We're no longer needed because AI is going to mix all the music.
Yeah.
Again, I think will that happen one day down the road? Maybe, possibly.
It could very well happen.
I don't think it's happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
To me, AI is got like anything, any new technology. It's a wonderful technology. I think it could do a lot of good in a lot of different places in our world. And then, like with anything, there's a lot of bad that can be used with. A lot of sinister stuff can be done with AI. They're already talking about AI scams and all this other crap. But as it pertains to the music business and what we're doing as far as mixing, I mean, I've seen videos about where they've taken AI. Again, I don't know what programs they are, where they'll take like a Nirvana song, for example,
Yeah.
and they'll put the singer's voice from Collective Soul on
Yeah.
the Nirvana track, and
Yeah.
you would have
Yeah.
thought the guy from Collective Soul sung on that song.
Yeah.
And in some of it's really good and accurate, and in some of it's still you
Yeah.
can tell it's not there yet.
Yeah, well, they're doing that with movies too, where
But
they're taking actors and de-aging them on the screen through AI
Right.
technology.
Yeah,
So
So there are things in there where I think
Yep.
it'll be more refined as time goes on.
Yep. And actually,
But
funny
who
too,
knows?
just one more quick one. It's like on YouTube, they're taking old TV episodes
Mhm.
from like PBS and they're running them because they're old like 480p films.
Yeah.
They're running them through AI and upgrading them into 1080p high def,
Okay.
and they look amazing.
Okay.
So it's like it can be useful that way too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's all about context and motivation.
Yeah.
What are you asking it to do?
Yeah, I don't
You know?
I don't think in the music business as much it's going to replace all the people. I mean, if
No.
it does that, then what are we doing? What?
Yeah.
But the music is one component, but the music and the community and the people, all of that is what makes the music
Yeah.
industry what it is.
Yeah.
And if it is all just one day cookie cutter by some machine, someone hits a key and everything just happens,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad I won't be alive to see that happen.
Yeah. Same here, to be honest with
So-
you.
Anyway, Braxel says Audioscape had a DA rack mount for sale last Wednesday. You're talking about the DA3A. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they make 2 versions of it, and there's a third version that's
Yeah, the D3A was a single rack version. It's basically taking 2 of your 700 series and putting them in one rack.
as a stereo unit.
Yeah, and
That was
so-
the original.
Yeah, so the one they've got that as a single rack space, and then they have the 2 500, the 500 style.
Yeah.
And now what we're waiting for them to come out with is the VU version,
Right.
which is going to be like in a 2-space chassis with full-size VU meters on it.
It looks just like an LA3A.
Yeah, so that's what's coming next.
It's
You
done.
know?
I did. I talked to. We did the pre-recorded interview with Chris from Audioscape on Thursday. I think it goes live, guys, sometime this week coming up. It wasn't on the typical Friday video. I think I put an extra video up so you guys will see it either
good.
Monday or Tuesday.
Good, I want to see that.
So we spent about 30 minutes talking, Chris, and we talked about that DA3A and where they are in production. There were some holdups and some part shortages, and then they had the hurricane, and they were moving facilities, and all of that was happening as they were starting to thinking they were going to get ready to release that new DA3A. But Chris says in the video, he assures us it is almost done. There's a couple of small things. You'll hear it in the interview that he says he's personally working on because he wants it to be right before he releases it.
Yeah, he is not going to put that out until he is 100%.
But he says
it's
it's done.
Yeah.
There's a few minor things left to do, so that is coming soon.
Yep.
Kaiser says that the AI will replace the SL consoles that we much.
I don't agree with that. I
Let's hope
really
not.
don't.
Let's hope not, Kaiser.
I don't agree with that. I mean, no matter what, the console is still the console.
Still a console.
So
Although I did see AI, there's a video on YouTube. You guys can search it. Search out Google AI, and there was a recent interview with 60 Minutes, and they were in there talking to the heads of Google and the robots that these guys have that move like people. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You look at some of the stuff they're doing with this AI stuff. It's crazy.
It's scary. It's scary.
So maybe pretty soon there'll be a robot in here.
Yeah, twiddling the knobs on that, and you'll be upstairs just hanging out watching TV.
I'll be out of work.
Yeah,
Okay, Ernest Buckley. Hey, Ernest, how are
Ernest.
you? The plug-in industry is a dead end. You never truly own it. You use it until you refuse to update it. You can't resell it so easily, losing.
So it's really a losing proposition every week. A new. I agree with that, and I disagree with that.
Well, you really don't. I mean, people don't understand when you buy a plug-in license, you don't own the license.
Yeah.
You own the right to use the license.
Yeah. You own the right.
Is that the technical?
Yeah. What you own the right to use the software. Okay, but you own nothing because software is it's ones and zeros. You own nothing.
You don't own the code.
So, but that was the whole. Please, let's not get into it, but. That was the whole thing that just happened with Waves. Is because, listen, I own the Mercury bundle.
Right.
Okay. I own it.
That's
bought and paid for.
Well, you don't own it. You own the right to use the bundle.
But look at from the point of view.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, you bought it.
I own the Mercury bundle. I bought and paid for it.
You bought that.
Now
bundle.
You're telling me that I have to pay you a monthly subscription fee to use the thing that I already bought.
Right. That was
the issue, and I stayed out of it.
And they recanted that, right? They walked it all back
because they got absolutely lambasted for it.
I get it,
and I did. I objected very strongly to something. I bought and paid for this, and now you're telling me that I can't use it unless I pay you for it again.
Well, that's not. Well, I hear what you're right. You are right. Yeah. But the way I understood it was that isn't true that you can't use it. You can use it.
Oh yeah,
but
whatever version you want.
We're not going to update it to the newest version without you buying the subscription.
Whatever version you want.
That's different. So you might go several years with your version and never have to update it. But when your operating system eventually says,
forget it. Like you can't do this anymore.
Now that's the part right.
Yeah. So like I said, like he is right though. The whole plug-in market is, it is a very intangible thing. You don't own anything. You're just you're renting
it. Really?
You own the right to use it, until you can't use it anymore.
Right. But that's all software.
Yeah, and that is. It's all software. So
It used to be a time where you could go to the store and buy Microsoft Office and get a CD and put into your computer.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I go back to floppy disk.
You can't. You can't do that anymore. So all these plug-in companies, if they haven't already, are all going to have a subscription offering.
To one degree or another.
They all are. So that's it. So if you don't want to worry about that, someone did a video. I forget who it was, but he was joking about the Waves thing, and he said, "Here's why I buy hardware." Nobody comes in there and tells me I can't use that compressor ever.
And it doesn't need to be updated. I don't have to update it to use it.
Doesn't matter what operating system. Doesn't matter what. I plug in that compressor, it's going to work for the next 100 years.
Yeah. So and believe me, I get it. As the noted plug-in junkie that I am. If I believe me, I never want to quantify how much money I've spent on plugins. I don't want to know.
But you have hardware too.
And I have hardware too.
And the hardware has a value that you can, like he was saying here, you get sick of a piece of hardware, I could sell it.
Yep.
And if I buy good quality gear, it's going to retain 70% of its value
and
on the market.
Yeah. Everything.
Plugins, as soon soon as you buy it, you
Yep,
lost all your money.
everything that I'm selling right now is has retained a good portion of its value. Yeah.
Daniel says West Audio is in my TAC list as well. I got the NG compressor.
The NG bus is so good.
Yeah, those are good. And I just an amazing utility. No plug-in, give me extra texture because it's digitally controlled.
Mhm.
I can track and mix with the same day. Yeah, so the
Yeah.
West Audio stuff is great in that
Yeah.
it is all digitally controlled. So if you just want to open up your plug-in window, if you like to work like that, or you could go over and twist the knobs,
Yep.
and it's all recallable.
Yep.
I have there's only one, except for one compressor. I have every compressor West Audio makes.
Yeah.
And I've had their EQs. A couple of EQ videos are coming in the next few weeks on their Pultec and their stereo EQ. And they make really good stuff.
Yeah.
I like West Audio.
They make really good stuff. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, and again too, but going back to the other discussion, is those things are all emulating older hardware,
Yeah.
just digitally controlled. But like I said, that NG bus is
And when
so
some and so, yeah,
good.
and again some modern features like a wet dry
Yeah.
knob and some
Mhm.
total harmonic distortion
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's
built-in
based
transformer circuits
yeah,
and everything.
but it's
else.
based
Yeah.
on a classic design.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's all good. Like I know you haven't done the video yet for the NG76, but what I've heard of the
Not yet.
NG76,
Right.
it's amazing.
It's a great versatile compressor.
Yeah, so and the Dione is a really good SSL style bus
Yeah.
compressor.
It is.
So yeah,
Chris says IGS makes a spring reverb similar to Audioscape. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. There's
Yeah.
there's a couple out there that are in the same vein. I believe the Audioscape though is the one that most closely emulates the previous piece of hardware.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are a few of them out there that do the same kind of idea.
Yeah. Daniel says, let's be serious now. Let's talk about gear acquisition syndrome. GAS gas.
You think? You think? Yeah. Okay.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, you're
Daniel.
saying that like we should be ashamed of ourselves or something. No, come on. I mean, like
Well-
I know. I have to be 100% transparent with that. I did say in an earlier stream when we did our year-end wrap-up that I was not going to be buying a lot of hardware this year. That I was going to basically stand pat.
Well, you say that to me about every time we talk.
I know. I lie all the time. Yeah. No. I'm very self-delusional. No, I am in the middle of a sell-off on Reverb. If anybody wants to see, on go to Reverb, find Jello Man's shop. That would be me on Reverb. Find Jello Man's shop. I've got like 5 or 6 items up there, and one of them being one of those Line 6 delay Echo Pros.
Oh, right,
I have
right.
one of them up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So go to my shop and take a look and see if there's anything you want. Give me a shout out. Tell me you saw it on the stream, and we'll talk. Okay. But yeah, I'm selling off a bunch of stuff right now to make room for stuff.
Because he's got gas. He needs
Yeah,
more.
because I got gas.
He
Well,
needs
it
more
all,
gear.
and then, but then again too, like one of the things that did motivate it is, and I've had my heads now for about 2 years. I've had a set of head Mark II 08, Mark II 8-inch or the 6.5-inch satellites, and they're sub 08.
The monitors.
The monitors, yeah.
Right.
My head monitors, one of them died again.
Yep.
That's the second time in 2 years. Now, they're amazing sounding monitors. You will not hear me say a bad word about head monitors as far as like the sound, but I've had 2 failures in 2 years.
Sounds like another company we always talk about.
And that is that and that has now reached the point where it's like, okay, I'm done. Okay?
You got new monitors.
Yeah.
You said I'm not
So
buying these
just,
again.
I just bought a set of Focal Solo 6s.
And those won't break down on you.
Yeah, and so
Knock
like
on wood.
so they're thanks. And so like they're in the studio now. The heads are still at the repair shop, and they're gonna just give me a trade-in value on them. I'm walking away because I'm not gonna I'm not gonna give it a third try. You know what I mean?
One
So-
failure is reasonable.
Yeah, one
sometimes.
failure I can forgive. 2 failures in 2 years,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Bye.
I have a reliability issue now.
That's what I say about Warm Audio.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
When you get a good piece, it works great. People typically
Yeah.
like it.
Yep.
But the rub with them has always been
There's a failure rate.
there's a failure rate,
Yeah.
and you may get that. You may be one of those victims, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like I said, so like I that's what but buying the Focals now just like opened up a floodgate of gear acquisition syndrome again.
Right, because now
Because now I'm thinking about and honestly,
you got a new toy.
yeah, but honestly too, I'm very much motivated by the change you made on your master bus of losing the Fusion and going to individual processors. I'm very much inspired by that.
Yeah.
And I'm very seriously considering doing the same thing of like putting together a master bus chain quite similar to yours
Good for you.
and getting rid of my Fusion.
See?
So and so like I said, it's just I didn't set out to do that. I wasn't
Right.
intending to do it, but you did that, and it now made me think, okay, I could do something similar to that as well.
Yeah, you sure did.
So yeah, so like it's unlike in that earlier stream where I said you all could bust my balls incessantly about if I change a lot of gear, start feeling free to bust my balls incessantly because I'm changing out a lot of gear.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
So,
I don't think at this point most of the I don't attribute to what I'm doing in this room now to gas. It's more now I'm trying to refine the setup, and the
Yeah.
more I work with it, I'm finding out what I
Yeah.
like and what works good for me,
Mhm.
and swapping pieces out. Like the Dangerous Music Converter.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
reason why that's coming in is because, well, number one, we keep being told it's going to make a difference and we want to test it. But number two is if it does make a difference, and it makes me even a few percentage points turn out a better product,
Mhm.
I'm in that position now, like with the trim
Yeah.
off, or like
Yeah.
with any other piece of
Yep.
gear. It's not just a new thing comes out and I want to go out and buy a bunch of gear and just stuff the racks. Now,
Yeah.
whenever I buy something, something else
Mhm.
has to go
Yeah.
for something new to come in.
Plus, the gear that's coming in is coming in to fulfill a specific use
Yeah.
case now.
Yeah.
It's like I have
me, it is
this
now.
need. This is the piece of gear that's going to give it to me. You know.
Hmm.
So and it's much more considered. I mean, because that's the one thing is like, because like your perception of gear acquisition syndrome is that you just go grab stuff. You know. And as far as like
I've done
plugins-
that too.
Yeah,
You know,
as
you
far
know.
as plugins are concerned, guilty as charged.
Been
but,
there.
but as far as like hardware is concerned, I'm trying to be very, very considerate
Yes, and selective.
about my select
Yeah.
about what I select to add to my
Yeah.
studio because my studio is a lot smaller
Mhm.
and very limited in what I have room for. So yeah, I'm trying to be very considerate before I put the money down.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that
You
makes
know.
total sense.
So yeah, but there are certain pieces that are going to get changed out, and yeah, my master bus is probably going to be changing.
There you go.
Yeah, so you know,
So stay tuned for
so
that.
stay tuned. I probably by the end of the year I'll do another studio tour and show everybody what I did.
You should.
You know, so you know,
So Jason says, I think what we want is AI to take over the mundane tasks.
agreed.
AI could easily be like a studio assistant, setting up
Mhm.
your tracks, learning your methods,
Yep.
naming tracks, etc. That's
Cleaning the tracks
that's
out. Yeah.
that's a fantastic point. I never
Thank
thought
you.
of that.
That's the most prescient thing I've heard in days.
If I could get AI, because I don't have an assistant, if I could get AI to do some of my session prep, renaming
Yeah.
tracks, organizing things in a
Yep.
little bit more efficient
Color
way,
coding, cleaning the tracks up.
where they're not dealing with the creative,
Yes.
they're dealing with the technical.
Yes.
I'm into that.
I'm fine with that.
That's a very good point,
I'm
Jason.
fine. You plug you if you give me a DAW that has that, you plug a session in, and 30 seconds later it's all laid out, color coded, named,
Yes.
gain stage, cleaned up, everything. All of that's done, and I can just start putting plugins on and or sending it
that's
to
a different
hardware and
thing.
mixing. I'm down. I'll take that tomorrow.
That's a very good
Yeah,
point.
I'll take that tomorrow.
He says he's a software developer, Jason is, and he uses it every day for those kinds of small mundane tasks. That makes
Yeah.
total sense.
Yep. But
Uh,
do you see, Jason Buffin? Do you see the potential for AI taking over more and more of your responsibilities to the point where you become the redundant component? That's the question now. So if you're still in the chat, I want to hear your thoughts on that question.
Like copywriters, they say that's one of the first things that are more threatened now. Like you have
Yes.
this new CBGT or whatever that chat open.
Chat GPT. Yeah.
I've used it.
Mhm.
I've tried it. I've used it for copy from my emails, copy with my website, and I will say it does do
Does a good job.
fantastic
Does a
job.
good job. Yep.
We even did some testing in my daughter's school, a little off the music topic. They were
Mm-hmm.
talking now when they're doing history, social studies type tests.
Yeah.
It used to be where we'd have to go write a report or whatever. Now
Yeah.
it's oral exams.
Because you can't be using Chat GPT.
So the teacher will now sit in a room with
Mhm.
my daughter and say, "Tell me about whatever the thing is," and she's got to verbally speak it through.
That's
Because
that's good on two
No,
levels.
it's good on
too,
two
though.
levels, and they're
Yeah.
saying because number one, they were starting to get afraid over the last 10 or 15 years is that kids go home to do homework and they have Google. So
Yeah.
you can Google anything.
Yeah,
and
you go to
copy,
Wikipedia, copy paste, and move on.
You
You
can
know.
copy and paste, but
Yeah.
even with copy paste, you can if you have a 12-year-old, and you can with a 12-year-old you could tell, did they really
Yeah.
write this? It's not
Yeah.
a 12-year-old's
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
But with this new AI stuff,
Mm-hmm.
we ran a few tests where we would say, give me a 500-word essay on the Civil War and write it in the voice of a 12-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it spit back at you
Was perfect.
Well, it wasn't perfect, and that was how you knew it. It sounded like it was written by a kid.
Okay, yeah.
There was punctuation that was purposely not really correct. The phrasing of the wording was a little different, and
Wow.
and so you say, for that kind of stuff, they say, wow, now we got to change maybe the way we educate and test our kids.
Yeah.
I understand where that stuff is becoming very strong, but that's different
Yeah.
than someone sitting down and making a decision on how you manipulate sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's different.
Yeah, that's interesting though, because like you have to sit down and do oral exams like that. You have to learn the topic, and then the two,
Yes.
you also have to be able to communicate
To
it
speak it.
clearly. That's actually, I think, for a straight up education standpoint, a better system.
Kids hate it.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Parents love it.
I'm sure they do. How are you liking the DIY modules?
That's good.
Kelly Peterson, how am I liking the DIY modules? I'm becoming less and less impressed as time goes by. They're fine. If that's what you're looking for, they're fine. But as far as like their utilitarian value, they do a very specific job, you know. And but I mean, like, and honestly, I get just as much out of a plugin. Honestly, I mean, like, especially like the tape emulators and stuff, I get just
Yeah,
as much.
they were cool.
I get just as much out of a plugin as I do out of them.
They were
honestly.
cool.
And saturation is saturation. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know I at one point in time said I was going to buy a whole bunch of different modules to play with, and I still only have the 3 that I have. I've never done anything beyond.
Yeah, so they didn't impress you enough to go out and buy more.
No, I kind of, like I said, as time goes by, I become less and less enamored with them. And plus, too, like he has a bus compressor kit, right?
Yeah.
He has a bus compressor kit.
Yeah.
It's very similar to like the Warm Audio and stuff like that. You get the Warm Audio for $799. He wants over $800 for his bus compressor kit. You still got to build the darn thing.
Yeah, but is the componentry any better?
I don't
know enough about that.
I don't know. I mean, possibly it's
Yeah.
because the componentry is 10 times better than what Warm Audio is using. I don't
Maybe.
know. But my point of it is, it's like if I'm going to spend hours soldering something together, I want to have a money saving side of it as well. I want there to be an advantage to the other side.
Yeah.
You know,
Whereas, like,
so-
it's going back to our buddy Charlie. He loves the DYRE stuff.
Yes, he does.
And he has
Yeah.
great luck with it. So
Yeah.
again, it's just, again, that's what's great about this stuff is that what does something really well for one person that they
Yeah.
really like, the other person goes, nah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean,
And that's cool.
but then again, too, like for my setup, because I am a true in the box hybrid guy. For me to use the DIYRE stuff, I have more or less pretty much have to print everything back in.
Right, because of your limited I/O.
Because I have limited I/O, and,
Right.
and plus the fact too that it doesn't seem to like to do multiple channels. It's a whole thing.
It's a process.
But but it's like I said. So like for me to sit there and print back in, if I have a 40 track mix, 4 minutes long, and you have to print each one of those tracks back in through some kind of a piece of
Yeah,
hardware,
you're not going to do that.
it's hours and hours and hours.
Right.
So I tried that a couple times and it was cool, but then I was like, now when I'm doing hardware, I'm very selective about what tracks get it and what tracks don't need it.
Right,
you know?
unless you have a lot of I/O and
Yeah.
lots of hardware.
Yeah,
That's the only way around that problem.
Yeah, and I don't have the capability. I have 16 channels of I/O, but it's not the process isn't working for me that way.
Makes sense.
Like when I'm actually mixing, it's master bus processing. Everything
Right.
else is in the box.
Got it.
But I print selected tracks back in through hardware and then mix them in the box. That's how I process it.
Right.
So like I said, for the DIYRE stuff, it's cool. It does a thing. But it's not to me doing a thing that I couldn't do other ways just as easy. My thing.
There you go.
So,
Fair enough.
you know.
Braxel says, for a studio, how many analog compressors should one have and type?
Oy.
I mean, I got... Well,
Wow.
I
On
mean,
a count?
No, I think I got like 35 or 38
Yeah.
channels of
1,
compression.
2, 3, 4, 5,
How
6,
many do you need? I mean, it really depends.
7, 8, 10,
What I'll tell you is that, well, it depends. If
12, 13, 14,
I don't use them all in every mix, certainly. They all have a little bit different sounds, so depending on what you want it to sound like will depend on what piece of gear you choose.
I count 29
Yeah,
that I can see right now.
well, a lot of those are stereo
yeah, I know.
units too.
I was counting stereo.
Um,
I count 29.
So if you,
So.
reason why I don't use them all is because the console does a lot of the compression already, even though there's not a dynamic section in it, but the console in and of itself is like a compressor. So how many do you need? It really depends on your whole setup. I mean, having a couple, minimum, if you were getting into hardware, if you had 2 or 3, like if you had a FET style, Opto style, maybe a diode and maybe a Varimu.
Yeah.
If you have like 4 styles or 3 styles.
Yeah. Just you get the classics. You have an LA2A. You have a
Right.
FET style. You have, I mean, a diode bridge would be cool, but it's not 100% necessary. But yeah, like you get a nice tube type compressor, a FET style. You're fine, and then some kind of a bus compressor.
Yeah.
And you're good. You're good. You just go.
Thanks, Ernest. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the hangout.
Thanks, guys.
Rusty wants some kind of whiskey. I don't drink whiskey anymore, but when I did, it was Jack Daniels. But we're going back a long, long time.
July 4th, 2010.
That's your last whiskey?
Was my day. Yeah, I've been sober since.
Good for you. Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't claimed to go sober, but I just don't drink anymore. I mean, I just don't. Now, if I drink a couple of whiskeys, it's the next 2 days I'm completely useless. I'm old now, man.
Yeah, I know. Believe me. Yeah. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
Eagles Rage says 20 grand and plenty of excuses to your wife. Later in the past few years, gas is hitting hard on my end. Well, as long as your wife isn't hitting you hard at the same time, you're okay.
20 grand. Honestly, 20 grand is not a lot compared to certain other people in the room.
Yeah.
So
Hey, you can't take it all with you.
No, listen, and like I said, I travel light, people. I travel very light. So I mean, if I want to spend it, I'm going to spend it.
Jason says his SPL Big is arriving from Sweetwater. Awesome.
Nice. I want one too.
That's really, really nice.
I want one too.
You'll find really quickly. Just be sparing, Jason.
Yeah.
You're going to want to overdo it and make it sound as big and wide as possible.
It sounds great on headphones,
and
but
then you're going to realize, oh, I overdid it.
Yeah.
So wherever you think you should set it, dial it back about 30 or 40%. That's probably where it should be.
Like when you hear your hi-hat coming from behind you, you know you went too far.
Thunderhouse sound. Before you get rid of your Fusion, have you tried it in other spots other than the master bus?
I have.
Like stereo keys, drum bus, guitars.
I have. Yes. It is fine. Okay. It does interesting things, but again, it's not doing anything that I can't do with other things that I have in my collection, either plug-in or hardware.
Right.
So again, it's like one of those things where, like, if I'm not using it on the master bus, in my opinion and in my workflow, it becomes redundant.
Yeah, I never tried mine before. I sold it on the other spots. I mean, it was a great suggestion, but it was like kind of.
Yeah. Oh, I have.
I've already got all those other things.
Yeah, you could stick it on a bass track and kick the drive up really hard and get a really nice crunchy bass track out of it. But then again, I've got DIY RE modules that do the same thing. So again, like. For me, it's like my racks are full. If something's coming in, something else has to go out.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to put a 500 rack up there with 4 master bus modules in it, the Fusion's got to go because I got no place else to put it. So
right.
So that's where it comes.
So
down
some
to.
of it just becomes down to available real estate.
It comes down to I've got I know if anybody's seen
or the lack thereof available real estate.
Yeah, if anybody fine. If anybody's seen my studio tour, you realize that my studio is 5 feet wide. Okay? It cannot get another inch wider. It is 5 feet wide. When that's full, it's full, and it's full. So we're done.
One comes in, one has to go out.
Something has to go out.
How are the Revive audios compared to the stock? You must be talking about the DBX 16s. We did a video on that.
Did a whole
video on that, shooting them out. You can go watch that and listen to the differences. They're very close. They're close.
They have areas in which they're similar, and they have areas in which they're different. It's a program material dependent issue.
Yeah.
Because like on bass, the Revive audios react very differently than the stock ones do, but on other instruments, they react almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I have two. I have 2 of each now, and I did not feel a need to go get the 2 that aren't modded. To pay the money to have them modded.
How is my old one working out for you?
Good.
You're doing good?
Yeah, I use it all the time. So I mean, they sound slightly different. I think the stock unit sounds really great. I didn't feel a need to modify all of those, but the modded ones have a little bit of a different sound. So you can watch the video and check that out.
And you can always use those differences to separate tracks and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do sound a little different.
Yeah, so it's all good.
Let's see. At this point, AI is unable to really be creative at the fundamental level due to the way the LLMs work.
Whatever LLM is.
I'm not worried about AI taking over my job anytime soon. You
Okay,
asked me-
so
good,
I
good.
asked you. That answers the question. Then yeah. Okay, so I'm cool with that.
You know,
Thank,
I
thank
think-
you for taking the time.
I think
sir.
I think it'll be like, like robotics were in manufacturing many, many years ago, where
Yeah.
you used to build a car by hand,
Yeah.
and now
yeah.
80% of the cars built with robot arms and stuff.
Yeah.
It took
Yeah.
30 or 40 years to get to that
It's
point.
it's a process.
And so, will AI take over more and more of the? Yes, I think it will.
Yeah.
Will it take over everything? Oh, I don't.
Who the hell knows?
Maybe our kids will tell
Yeah.
you, or maybe.
Yeah, I'll be long in the ground
Yeah.
before it happens, and then I'm not going to give a crap anyway. So
Kaiser says, I use my SSL Fusion with the SSL 6 for analog summing. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
that's exactly what you should be using
the-
it
the
for. To
big
be
6.
honest with you, yeah, that's exactly what it's for.
Let's see.
Oh, you're welcome, Kelly.
Jason says, I use a DYRE OLA5 compressor in my vocal chain
Mm-hmm.
on the way in. Cool.
Okay.
2 of the color palettes for your stereo outs,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a
15 IPS, the Pentode, and the CTX model.
Oh, so you got a lot of them.
Yeah, he's got an interesting selection there.
Yeah.
Okay, he has a very interesting selection.
And you obviously like them.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, it always, whenever we talk about this stuff, it always comes down to, does it fit in your workflow? I'm never going to say it's bad stuff. I'm just saying it doesn't really do the job I need it to do. So therefore, I'm looking in other directions. And if it works for someone, because like you say, Charlie loves his DIY
Loves
stuff.
it.
He uses it all the time.
All the time.
Fantastic. I'm actually quite happy that he does.
He does like it a lot.
But like I said, for me in my workflow and the way I function in my studio, they're not doing the job I kind of envisioned that they would do. So fine, no problem. It doesn't make them bad products,
Nope.
and it doesn't make me a bad mixer. It just means that we're not on the same page.
Yeah, that's all.
So,
Okay, John says, hey, John, I purchased my Gain Audio Lab Empress.
Oh, here we go.
When you made a review on YouTube, I could hear the difference on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
My Empress will be delivered around July. Thanks for the review. You're very
Wow,
welcome.
you're patient, by the way.
That's a very, I love that EQ.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a monster. It's a monster of an EQ.
That's my favorite EQ for today.
If I had rack space, I'd have to think about it, but I don't have rack space for it, so I'm moving on to other things instead.
Yeah.
You know?
Daniel says, do you use compressor for more tone or for more dynamic control? Describe
Yes.
which one of each for application, please. Yeah. So
Yes.
there's two. I don't ever think of any more compression about dynamic control. I always think of it tone first, dynamic control second. But that's after years of what we talked about earlier, learning how to hear compression, understanding what compressions do. And when you do, one of the things, your aha moments that we talked about earlier, is that aha moment kind of unlocks the key to where now that you can really hear what it's doing in all the compressors, depending on the type of compression, we'll do it a little differently. But now I start thinking of him as tone. I don't ever think of compression. I shouldn't say I don't ever. But my first thought is when I'm picking a compressor, and by the way, in the mixing hybrid course that I have out, I spend
Fantastic
a
course,
lot
by the
of time in that. Every single piece of gear that I select throughout that course, I stop for 5 minutes and talk to you why I'm picking this compressor over this compressor, and it always starts with tone and style.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you really want an education on that, go check out the hybrid mixing course, because I spend most of my time talking about those kinds of philosophies and techniques.
Yeah, I know. I've said it before. I have taken every course he's ever made. Okay, and that hybrid mixing course, I still honestly feel is the best course you've ever done.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, it is very specifically targeted.
It is very
but
much
it's
so.
the best course you've ever done. Like I thought that you were like, the information was amazing, and it comes so fast. The information comes so fast and heavy in that course, but it was incredibly well thought out, very well done.
Thank you.
Beautifully presented, and like I said, and also too in a subject matter that I found very compelling at the time and still do.
Mhm.
And I think anybody out there who is getting into hybrid mixing or is even somewhat experienced in hybrid mixing, there's stuff in that course that you're going to get that's going to be helpful to you.
Yeah,
you know?
it is really for
It's
an
very
intermediate
strong,
advanced mixer.
you know?
So there's a lot of this kind of talk in there
Yeah.
because it's not a beginner's course.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not, I'm going into this course assuming you know how to use a compressor and you basically understand the concepts. Now we start talking about exactly what you're asking
Mm-hmm.
about. So go to home recording. I think even through the end of this. Yeah, we're still in May, aren't we?
Yeah, it's still
so
May.
there's $100 off that course through the end of this month.
Go get it.
There's a coupon code right there. So go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com.
Mm-hmm.
The training courses page under the advanced training courses. You'll see it all the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Go get it, man. It's like I say, it's an amazing. And even if you're not into hybrid, there's still a lot of really good information for like plug-in comparisons and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just a solid
Yeah,
course.
I walk you through how you can
It really
emulate
is.
the analog workflow with your
Yeah.
plugin. So it's a really
Plus,
gets into
you get to spend 8 or 10 hours watching an SSL console,
Yeah,
work, which in on itself, and dude, it's cool.
and
So,
you get all
know.
the audio files so you can
Yeah,
mix and
it's
track.
awesome.
It's cool.
It's an amazing course. It really is.
But the answer to your question is
Right there.
it's always tone for me. It's always tone first.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, even if I don't feel that the track needs to be dynamically controlled,
Yeah.
I might use it for style and tone and color.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Yeah, well, we did that when we were doing one of the DBX videos. We inadvertently just had the DBX on, not compressing.
Yes.
Remember that? And it did something to the track that if you needed to do it to that track, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like now for me, I'm still a little bit more kind of both dynamic control and tone right now. I haven't gotten to the point where it's straight tone control for me, but what I'm finding is that the more I do this, the less I compress.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So instead of hitting something 4 or 5 dB, I'm hitting it 2 or 3, and so forth. And so the longer I do this, the less I hit it.
Well, you can remember because all compressors, plug-in hardware, doesn't matter what kind they all control dynamic range. That's what a compressor does.
That's why it's there.
So once you get beyond that, you go, okay, well, it all controls the dynamic range. Then it's a matter of how do I control the dynamic range, and then what do I want that finished thing to sound like from a tone point of view.
Yeah.
So, what is the gray canister behind you?
What gray canister behind me? Well, this is my water bottle.
This is behind us.
This is my water. What gray canister? There are gray canister. Hold on. I'm going to turn around.
I don't think so.
Well, I see your monitors are gray.
I don't know.
Your mouse is gray. I have no idea.
No clue. What do you think?
Moving on.
What do you think makes the best 1073 type or style mic pre?
No idea.
Neve.
Yeah. You want the best 1073? Go buy a Neve.
Right. You want something that sounds just like a Neve?
Go buy a Neve.
What is the best way to do automation with the SL Origin? There's a couple of ways to do it. One video recently, I described that process.
Yeah.
Really, there's 2 main ways you can do it. First, you can do it in the box and hit the automation before it comes out to the console. It's not the most traditional way to do it because it's pre-processing, not post-processing, but you can do it. In certain instances, it works just fine.
Yeah.
The other way you could do automation is you could do it on the buses, print them back in and do your automation that way. Or what I like to tend to do mostly is I do it live to the print track. It's not recallable, but it's a performance.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best way? It all depends on what you want to do. Most times I'll do it live. Sometimes I'll do something in the box because I need it to be recallable. And if I don't want it to be pre-processing, because that everyone will, the rule is you don't want to compress before you hit you don't want to automate before you hit your compressor because that changes the way your compressor reacts. Technically that's true, but does that mean that you can't do it and it won't sound good? Well, it all depends how much you're compressing.
Yep.
It depends what it is, and sometimes that sounds just right. It's not the traditional way you would teach to do it, and I tell people, well, if that's really a hang up for you, then what you can do, like on this console or any other analog desk, is let's say it's a lead vocal, for example, and you want to process it in the box so you have all the automation recallable, but you don't want it to be pre-processing.
Yeah.
So all you do on this console is I would EQ compressor, run it through the desk. I print the printed track back in, the vocal track, then I flatten the EQ, disengage the compressor. Now all of my stuff is baked in to that vocal track, and then I'll do my automation. It's another step.
Yeah.
But if that's...
But it's also, yeah.
But you could do it that way.
It's perfectly doable that way.
It's perfectly doable that way. But it's not a desk that has automation built in. You would need a much more expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, he said it was your water bottle.
Yeah. Don't feel stupid.
Don't feel. He said it was behind you. It's like,
no, it's in front of me, but anyways,
in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
did we just hit the bottom of the chat?
No. What is the best 500 rack carrier you suggest?
Anything that's not too cheap. I have the radials. I have 3 radials. They're not cheap. They are under 1,000, but they're not cheap, but they're solid. They're built like tanks. The power supply it's an external power supply.
So they're not noisy.
So they're not noisy.
Yeah.
They are, like I said, they're built like tanks. You can drop them down the stairs and they'll be fine. David has all West Audios.
Yep.
They're built like tanks. They work fantastic.
Yeah, 10 space is about $1,000. That's about average for the,
Yeah.
I would just stay away from the really inexpensive ones, and the only reason why I say that is because I've heard those can be, depending on the modules you put into them and how much power, it really comes down to the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
And is there enough power on every one of the rails to power the modules that you have?
Yeah.
And if you, so some of the more cheaper ones, you can run into some problems depending on your modules.
Yeah, you're not going to get enough wattage for some of the heavy.
Yeah, that's
modules.
what I've heard.
Yeah.
Or they could tend to be a little noisy. Whereas something like the radials or the West Audios or the Neves, where they have the external power supplies, and they're a little bit more little high-end components, you don't have those problems.
Because the power supplies for these and the power supplies for the radials, these things are bricks.
Yeah, they're big, heavy bricks.
Big, heavy bricks, you
Right.
know? And I've seen some of the less expensive ones. I'm not going to go into brand naming, but I've seen some of the less expensive ones, and some of them do have external power supplies, but they're like a laptop power supply. They're very small, very light, so they're not passing a lot. They're not passing a huge amount of wattage and amperage through them.
Right.
And if you've got a 10 space rack and you've got all 10 spaces populated, that's a lot of power getting sucked up into that thing.
And depending on what modules are in there too, right? Doesn't have,
because compressor modules tend to be higher amperage than like an EQ or something like that.
I think it would be. Yeah, I would think it would be.
Anything with big, heavy transformers in it are going to require a lot of power, like that Bluey 500.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That thing is heavy.
Yeah, it's a heavy
It's
unit.
a heavy unit, and there's a big transformer sitting right in that thing.
It's built really well.
So you know that thing is sucking up a lot of power when you plug that in.
Yeah, so I would say if you're getting a 10 space rack, 800 to $1,000, you're gonna, whatever brand you buy in that price bracket, you should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Any reason not to print back 32 channels from the origin for automation and recalls? No, you can do that.
As long as you're 100% committed to the sound you're printing back in.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. You've got to be 100% committed to that sound when you print it back in.
Right. And then once you print it back in, now you're not mixing with the faders on the board. You're mixing with the faders in the box.
Yeah, and then you can send it back. Then you can send it back out to the origin as a nice summing mixer. And,
you could do that as well.
Yeah.
If that's what you really want to do. I would rather not mix with faders. And the whole reason why I bought a console is to put hands-on faders.
Yeah.
I mean, for me to print it all back into the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can. No, there's no reason why you can't do that. I could print all 32 channels in simultaneously. And it works beautifully. You can absolutely do that if you want to do that.
Yep.
Let's see. Jason says, I have a Neve 10 space with an internal power supply, really good, but it's not cheap. Right. That's that one's about $1,200-$1,300. I've had that one.
Yeah, and that interior power supply is very well isolated.
Right, because if you look at the design of that box, it's to the right side of the panel.
Yeah.
There's a big, behind that plate, there's a big honking power supply.
Yeah, and it's very well isolated. So I'm not saying that internal power supplies are not good, but you got to really pay for them. That's a $1,300-$1,400 box.
Yeah, it's a Neve. It's a
lot of money for a box.
You can rest assured if you buy anything Neve, it's going to be good quality.
Absolutely. Anything with the name Neve on it's going to be good, period. You're not going to have to worry about it. Did you guys do the Bluey compare? Yes, we did.
Yeah, about 10 o'clock this morning.
Yep. Took us almost 45 minutes to
just
get the damn video set up. But
we got it.
We got it done.
Well, let's see. Craig says, I have the Fredenstein Bentos 8. Not full yet, but so far so good.
It's okay. I mean, that is one of the less expensive ones out there. I don't know if it has an internal or an external power supply, but I have heard that the Fredenstein stuff is pretty solid for the price point. But again, I just went radial because, brick shithouse,
Yeah, you like radial and
I like radial. And like I said, you can drop them suckers down the stairs and they're going to be fine. So that's kind of why I went that way.
Yep. Can't you print back in after the faders? Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
absolutely.
You can, and you put all your faders at 0 in the DAW,
Yeah.
and you can have all the relative volumes. You can do that.
you can print back manual automation too. Like you can be printing back and writing the faders as you're printing back in for your automation, but
Yeah.
that's an art form right there.
And that's
you know?
typically how I do
Yeah.
most of it. Is I try to do it.
Yeah, well,
I actually do it live to the print track.
yeah, you did that in the course.
Right. I showed
Yeah.
you the automation in the course. I do that. I do it
Yep.
live.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, and that's again, it's not recallable. And again, if you're going to work in the analog domain, unless you're going to spend a ton of money on a console, and I'm talking 150 grand and more, there's certain things you're going to live without. One of them is automation.
Mm-hmm.
And in recall, right? So you just got to get beyond that and just say, I've never had anybody send me back a mix and said they didn't like the automation. Never once. I think a lot of people, again, and I'm not suggesting that Aaron is this. I'm not suggesting anyone here is this, but I've had experiences where students, they get so hung up on the piece of automation they can't even balance the mix right. Listen, here's what I say about automation. I teach it in the course too, that I don't automate anything. It's the very last thing I do.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the mix could be listened to from top to bottom, and you don't even need to touch a fader, and you could hear everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's small little moves and rides and some little feel stuff.
Yeah.
Something that is not even really audibly heard by the end user. It's more felt. It's baked into the track.
Yeah.
So most people that get so hung up on the lack of automation, I always say, worry about getting a really good mix that doesn't need automation first.
Yeah.
And then worry about that. And what you'll find is, at least for me, I just do it live.
Yeah.
And for me, it works.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will do it in the box. If it's a very specific thing where it's like I have to be able to be very accurate, and I have, for whatever reason, I feel like this needs to be recallable.
Yeah.
Then I'll do it in the box.
Yeah. It's funny.
But most times I don't do that.
It's funny. I automate it in the box. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Like,
you work in the box.
I
So
work in the box. I automate in the box. Almost all of my automation moves are like 1, 2, maybe 3 dB at the most.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not making huge automation moves in the box. You know, it's like they're just small little things to get movement and things like that. But it's like I'm not making huge giant automation changes in the box.
Well, you're also usually working on a style of music where that's usually not called for.
Yeah.
But if you're doing some electronic or maybe EDM, I mean, it's different styles of music where that is very much needed, and there's things flying all over the place. And it's like, okay, well that's different. That's different.
Yeah.
We're talking organic instruments, live people, drum, bass, guitar, vocals, keyboards.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a lot of automation.
It's a little bit of bump it here, ride it here.
Yeah.
It's smooth, and I can usually do it live.
Yeah.
And to me, that's all part of the performance of what makes that mix unique.
That's what I was talking about before, where you're putting yourself into the mix.
Right.
You know.
And it's like I say, now you're making a commitment.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is the one thing. Whenever the word print back in comes up, you are committing,
and that's
100% to what you just did.
And I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, and
I'm a big fan of let's commit and move on.
But you better be ready for that too.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to be ready for that. You've got to be 100%. You've got to be ready to commit to that sound before you do it.
And I like
if you're sitting there, maybe I'll no, then you're not ready. You know. So,
yeah, I mean, again, it's different for everybody.
Yeah. Daniel Bader says, thanks, guys. Have a good one. Thank you, Daniel, for being here. We appreciate that, sir.
Oh, up here.
Yeah.
Chris says Lindell.
Yeah, Lindell makes a 10-space rack with a power supply.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was for $500?
Yeah,
okay.
There's all kinds of racks out there. All kinds.
Again, we haven't used them all, so we can only tell you about what we've used. But if you got one there for $500, it works awesome.
And you're happy with it? Great. I'm happy for you.
That's awesome, man. And it has an external power supply.
Yep.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. What do you guys think about 500 series rack that has ADAT?
It's cool. I don't have one.
Don't have one either.
Don't have one. I mean, they look cool. Don't know. Probably not going to have one. So, you know.
I agree with the automation in the box, and it's the last thing I do if it only needs it. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes, dare I say, it's rare. I don't automate anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Depends on the mix.
Usually, it's always the lead vocal will have a little bit of rides in it.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes
Yeah.
it's just minor. Sometimes I don't automate anything else.
Yeah,
sometimes there's a lot of automation
Yeah,
happening.
sometimes you just want to push the chorus a dB or two. You
Yeah,
know?
I think it's just like that
So,
thing
you know.
where it's some people sometimes get hung up. It's just like where people think, you got to compress everything.
Yeah.
Well, who said that?
Yeah. Where was that written down?
Because you saw someone on YouTube do that, and then
Yeah.
maybe on that particular
Yeah.
example, it was really
Yeah.
needed.
And compress everything. How much and
How
why?
much and why?
What are you doing? What
Right.
is it doing for you?
So
You know?
I think people think, well, we got to compress everything.
Yeah.
So we got to automate everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why?
There's no reason to.
So it says I can't.
Yeah.
I heard one person said to me once, I can't listen to a mix that's static that doesn't have any automation. It's like,
How do you know?
you wouldn't even hear the automation.
How do you know? But
Right.
because that's the thing too. Is like when I do a mix, like I always look for the elements in the song that run all the way through the song.
Yep.
Like your drums, your bass, whatever. If it runs all the way through the song, everything else I mixes around them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like automation then becomes a thing where like you're gonna bring something in and then back out and so on and so forth. But there's gonna be static elements in that mix, the way I do it.
Yeah.
So like the drums and the bass, they stay pretty static all the way through the mix.
Mhm.
Other things are coming in and out, or moving left and right, or in
Yep.
and out, or like the new trick I learned is automating stereo spreads and stuff like that. So
Oh,
like
yeah,
something
yeah,
starts
yeah,
out
yeah.
narrow and then goes wide and
Yeah.
then comes back in narrow
Yep.
again. And
Yep. You could
you
do all
know,
that in the box.
yeah,
so.
and it's all done in the box, and
Mhm.
and it adds amazing amounts of interest to a mix. And if you do it right, it's not like it jumps out of the mix at you.
Right. It
you
shouldn't
know?
jump out at the mix.
It shouldn't jump out, or like automating send mutes and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
so like it hits a reverb on the chorus, but it comes out of the reverb in the verse.
Yeah, and
you
it's
know?
drier. Yeah. That's different.
This is what automation is for.
That's a
you
little
know?
different than
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
simple
but
volume
just,
automation.
straight vocal writing is only one form of automation.
right.
There's other forms of automation
That's
that can
right.
add interest to a mix as well.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So anyway, we loved our pizza, Braxel.
oh, the
thank you.
pizza's great, man. Now that he has a great pizza place here. I wish I had one like that down by me.
Try to think out of the box. Yes, I think out
Yeah,
of the box.
but I mix in the box, so kind of how it goes, you know.
Let's see. Is there a meter adjust on the Audioscape 260 VU? Is it something that I need to be concerned over? I
There is
don't-
a meter adjusting screw on the 260
Yeah.
VU. Yes. Do you need to be concerned about it? As long as it's at 0.
As long as it's at 0, in most good quality gear will have that. I think my V comp when I first bought it, again, depends on the power that's hitting it.
Yeah.
It needed to be slightly adjusted to make sure it always went back to 0, and it was just a little
Yeah.
screw. And
Yeah,
it was
because
fine.
my black line, I have to adjust it every now and then.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So, you know.
concern that. That's common
Uh,
with analog gear.
That's a VU meter.
That's just a meter thing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so let's see.
Did we hit the bottom?
We did. We're at exactly 2 hours and
Wow.
10 minutes.
Okay. We still have 27 people hanging out
So
here.
it's like,
too.
well, thank you so much, guys,
Thanks,
for
guys.
hanging
Really
out.
appreciate you guys hanging out and watching us eat pizza.
Watch us eat pizza and just
talk
chat.
all this crap, you know?
So I'm glad you guys are having fun.
Yeah.
Again, make sure you stay tuned to the channel for all the upcoming videos that are coming
Mm-hmm.
soon. And
We did 3 cool ones today.
3 cool ones today.
Yeah.
There's, we have no shortage of video ideas.
Mhm.
And we'll do the Dangerous Music one in relative quick order once we get
Yeah.
the box in here and get
Yeah,
it hooked
well,
up.
hopefully, since I'm on vacation this coming week,
Yeah, it depends
hopefully it gets here
yeah.
in such a way that we can come up here, we can set it up, do the whole thing in one day.
yeah.
So that way we both approach it from the same experience level with it. You know what
Right.
I mean? Because that would
Right.
probably be the best if you want to do it that way. Is
Yeah.
that we hook it up, we turn it on, we're both hearing the same thing at the same time.
Yeah. I want
You
to see
know?
what day we actually get it.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy to come back, please.
Braxel says your 260 has a clear thing over it. I don't know. Over
Okay,
your
hang
meter?
on. Let me go back over here again. Hang on.
I don't think mine does. Or maybe it does. Is it like a plastic piece of film? I don't remember that being on
there's
mine.
like an actual cap on that. I don't think there may not be a screw under that.
I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna have to ask when we have Chris on a live stream. We'll ask him about.
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
Remind me, Braxel, because I know you'll be there for that. So yeah, but no, actually, now that he mentioned,
Maybe you have to do it inside the box.
yeah, it might be something you have to go inside the unit for. But right now, his are dead on at 0.
Yeah.
So
But again, send Audioscape an email. They'll
Yeah.
tell you exactly how to make
and
that
I
adjustment.
really want one of them too.
So
I really want one of those.
all right, we're down at the bottom. So
Yep.
we're going to end it now. It's a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been at this for a while, guys.
Want to thank you guys so much again for joining. And again, stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you guys. Well, there'll be videos coming out every week. And we'll see you guys in the very, very near future.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Thank you for hanging.